taste them for real. Longing for you, oh, but I can't get back. What can I do when your train is gone? I don't wanna go back, don't wanna go back. If you are not with me, hey, do you read me? Go back to where we came from. If my hands are empty, hey, do you read me? Go back. I don't wanna go alone. Go back. If you are not with me, hey, I don't wanna go I know you want the best for me. Your intentions are good. I walk back to my history, into my old neighborhood.
Thank you for joining us here for the SMITE Global Series. Finch, joined by Aggro as we move into Southeast Asia here today. Can be looking at a pretty good set.
Yeah, always in this SMITE Global Series, you never know what you're really going to get. These regions seem to have their own sort of strange picks and bans, so it's always exciting going into a set.
That's right. We're going to be looking at Adopted Squad up against Get On My Level. In fact, let's go ahead and see how all the teams are already standing in the standings before we head into that set. You can see that Get On My Level have just been doing so well so far. 3 wins, no losses. Adopted Squad had some struggles. And remember, this means Get On My Level is above Mossy Boys. Just saw them at Masters, and now Get On My Level has kind of surpassed them a little bit.
We did, and somehow they are defeating the best logo in the SMITE Global Series with just their own
It's a great
red
logo.
hexagon. I mean, that's impressive work from Get On My Level.
I mean,
thus
that guy's
far.
got the classic anime, like, fixing the glasses thing going on. It's
everything
perfection.
about that logo is just, wow, it's perfect.
Love it, but definitely expecting that we're going to see some exciting action here in this next set. The picks and bans are just about ready, Ryan, so we're going to be able to jump right into those without any further ado, and that way we can let y'all see exactly what they're going to be prioritizing here. I mean, has there been anything in particular that you've been, kind of had your eye on?
Yeah, I think that as far as gods that we haven't seen be prioritized heavily quite yet that I think can be soon, I think Mercury's still on that train for me. I think we're going to see a lot more Merc through these games, at least in the Pro League level. I expect that, and I wonder if maybe these Global Series teams are a little bit ahead of some of those Pro League teams at times. We've seen that before. Right. I think we'll probably still see a lot of healers, most likely, and how teams counteract that is going to be interesting to see. You're
right. It's a little bit surprising we haven't seen as much Mercury. He feels so strong. It used to be that you thought he's just this late game god, but he brings so much utility early with the setup he has that really I think he's good at almost every stage.
I don't disagree with you, but no Mercury bans or anything quite yet. A little bit of a different sort of banning style so far. Ho Yi and Susano for Get On My Level. This tells me that people on Adopted Squad are just good at these particular gods. These are not your meta bans. These are both solid picks. But in the first pick selection now for Get On My Level, they get a priority pick because they haven't banned one away themselves.
Yes.
Adopted Squad do, but that leaves open the Guan Yu for Gama.
That's almost classic first pick there, isn't it? You ban away some picks from that your opponent likes to play, but you want to leave some good stuff open for yourself. You get the Guan Yu with all that sustain, but it does mean the Adopt Squadron now gets Cerberus, Thoth, and that's a pretty potent combination in and of itself. Thoth's range damage is so strong, and Cerberus, hard to find a better Guardian in team fight.
Yeah, Cerberus has been really, really prioritized, and for good reason. His level of disruption in team fights, the damage that he brings,
so good.
His clear is still pretty safe. He can really do everything for you, either to support or in solo. So I have no problem with an early Cerberus pick here.
Now Morgan coming out, and I like this from Get On My Level. That kind of speaks to some confidence. Morgan's not the easiest god in the whole world. Gotta make sure you're capable of playing all 9 other gods in the game and her base kit itself. So I like this pick, showing some confidence.
Then the Terra by Adopted Squad picked into the Odin. That's normally a counter pick option for the Odin, but Adopted Squad not worried about it. I don't think I would have gone for Terra for 2 reasons. Number 1, the Odin. Number 2, Terra Ultimate is so important that you're just kind of giving one to get on my level with that Morgan selection. That's what's so difficult about playing around the Morgan, even in picks and bans, is that you have to pick and ban yourself now in accordance to what you're giving the enemy team. I don't know that I would have been down giving Gamel a free Earth and Fury.
It's actually particularly impactful when you consider that they've gone Guan Yu Odin. They don't have a huge Guardian right now anyway, and now Morgan kind of gloss over that a little bit for them in these team fights by bringing over one of the best ones in Terra. It's very interesting to consider what Get On My Level had already drafted and how this kind of works really better for them.
And now they give them another priority transformation target in the Circuit. Like, these are the two of the best transformations the Morgan could ever want. And Adopted Squad kind of pick into it now for Get On My Level.
And that's exactly what Get On My Level now are able to do. Draft another Ross. That means we might be seeing this Morgan potentially in the jungle.
Jungle.
After this. And we'll see Odin over there perhaps in the solo lane and Ra to go right along with it. So Guan Yu and Ra, tons of sustain.
Lots of setup as well with a couple stuns from Artemis, the Morgan, Guan Yu. You can set up for that Searing Pain pretty nicely. Soul is a very safe option against those, and I think this does make some sense. Raijin probably was tempting here for Adopted Squad, or excuse me, they already have the Thaw, so this is going to be Soul ADC.
Yeah.
So you have some hunters with Leap still available. Hu Yi banned away, but you still have the On Her. You still could have gone Uller if you really wanted to. But Soul has a little bit of a better chance of actually winning those one-on-one trades, so I think this makes some sense.
Well, they're going to be very reliant here on Custard. Everybody else on the squad going to be doing magical damage for them, so as long as Custard's able to continue to punish any potential build pass by Get On My Level, they shouldn't have too much of a problem with it, but they're going to need a lot from him. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad, Z-Bunny, Jimmy, Maisie, going to need to be making sure they're plenty punishing on the magic side.
All right, Finch, we got to talk about it right now. This team, Get On My Level, has a player named Get On My Level.
Oh,
so my first thought is, we'll just call the team overall Gamel. I have bad news for you. Their support's name is Gamel. So I don't know what we're going to call this team. I think we should work it out right now. What are your thoughts?
We'll just call the team Level, and then everyone else will be Get On My Level or Gamel. No, we'll call the player Level. The team can still be Get On My Level.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. We could also go Level, or we'll just call him Guan Yu. You know, like I think that'll be have to be the call here.
Yeah, just call him Guan Yu. Yeah, we can do that. I'm down for that. I mean, this is exactly the moment they wanted, though, right? This is.
Yeah. This is like everything they've ever wanted, and you know, I'm like the king of unfunny jokes, so I actually know a lot about them, and this is an unfunny joke to me.
Well, Apex in a little bit of trouble. Actually has the stun for the turnaround. Jimmy, though, right there to put a little bit of damage back out in the Thoth as well. The difference here, though, only Get On My Level have a Ra, so they're going to be able to help sustain some of this damage back up. Odin not quite able to land that burn bomb as he turned back over towards the duo lane, where Sprint has been expended by Adopted Squad.
And then there's a Jimmy and a Jerem, which is like, I guess, like a Jeremy, but those are also very similar names, aren't they?
Yes, they both start with Jace.
Okay, but you know what? Okay, they're more similar than that. Like, come on, that's gonna mess me up, man. It's early on a Friday. My brain was not prepared. I gotta get locked in. I'm sorry.
No problem. We'll lock right in, right here, right now, in the middle of some Global Series action, Ryan. As it is going to be the Guan Yu against the Cerberus. So that does mean, as you predicted, that we're going to be seeing the Morgan here in the jungle for Apex. So he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him. We might have a chance to talk about it, though, as Custard is making the rotation over to the duo lane. Might spell some problems for Maker White. He does blink in. Cobra's Kiss is there, but Deathbane is going to spell First Blood.
Oh, man. Gamel jumping in as well. That should be an easy route here from Vintage. No stun for a little bit. Gamel should have that shield up pretty soon. Good stun. This might be second blood here.
Certainly has a chance to be. Custard gets them both. That's pretty scary. Adopted Squad Circuit already off to a 2-0-0 start. After a nice gank over to the duo lane, they were very pushed up. Were Get On My Level, the team, and then they were very able to, get punished for that.
And so it begins. Maker White also, rough time for him to die. He dies with just Devourer's Gauntlets 2.
Right.
Same can be said for the Odin. He dies with Boots 2. And finding those back timings can be very, very awkward. A little bit better for the Odin because Boots 2 is something that you'll see some supports go for. He still gets to back and buy some wards. Well, not back, but be forced back to base, buy some wards, get Boots 2. Not so bad for him, but now Maker White's whole lane, early laning phase, his timing is just kind of off now.
And you got the question now, if it's Adopted Squad, they're going to be the aggressors here in this lane, then Gommel is going to have some trouble. He's gone with that Blink to get things started, as opposed to some of the other defensive relics we've seen, like the Sprints, like Meditation Shells. So he doesn't have nearly as many escape options as Adopted Squad do.
Bunny has done a good job of dodging out these bird bombs so far. Gommel is about 50% on landing them so far. And the one thing to watch out for, though, now for Bunny is that he's been juking in consistently. And Maker White's going to make him pay for that once he hits level 5. So Gommel, even though he hasn't been hitting him, I think that keeping up that aggression is still very important for him.
Oh, I like that. They're training him a little bit, right? Like a fighting. You're getting him to come
conditioning him.
Yeah, conditioning. Just getting him step into the into the board later on when Maker White has it. Jumping in. This time he falls back and pays for it. So yeah, it's working still.
Custard on this right-hand side has last breath, but CC chain not quite there for him. Gonna go underneath the tower and actually take 2 shower shots. Minions nearly got it done for the Guan Yu, but not quite.
Never has Custard been in so much danger as of just now, when he just barely is able to make it out of there. A little bit unnecessary extra danger,
yeah,
I would say. Yeah,
I don't know that maybe his 2 was down, but you don't really want to start the combo with the ultimate because it pushes them so far away. When you're not next to a wall, it's very difficult to continue the CC chain of last breath straight into Cobra's Kiss. You kind of need to go for Cobra's Kiss, then into last breath, then try and use the auto attack. Get on my level was very low, but really needed to get that last auto in for Custard if that wanted to be an easy kill.
Bait and punish stun isn't going to land, so now Jerem is able to kind of just casually hang out here in the mid lane. In fact, he has Apex coming in support, looking for a potential stun of his own, but they are able to make it back to the tower line too quickly. But already we're seeing the difference early between these two different junglers. Custer has been able to be very aggressive. Meanwhile, we haven't seen much of that yet from Apex.
No, but look at the level difference. Apex actually in the lead. Now, only down a little bit in net worth as well. And factor in that first blood that Custer got and the second kill. That's actually a big level gold disparity in just overall farm level between Apex and Custard so far.
But because of the difference in playstyles, you got to look at it a little more holistically, right? The duo lane of Adopted Squad has been getting ganked by Custard. So how's that duo lane doing? And so if Apex has to be enough ahead to make up for the fact that he hasn't helped duo lane at all yet.
Exactly, and he's done that so far because Bunny is up in gold of Maker White because of the pressure that Custard provided in the first blood onto Maker White. So something to keep an eye on is Apex's level in comparison to his enemy jungler as well.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's what Cerberus does. He hits you with the ouchies. It's not the scratchies, that's Bastet.
Right.
It's just the ouchies. Get on my level.
Now they're going to try and go and turn this one around. Apex comes in, but yeah, level falls on the Guan Yu. Cage does trap in the dog, but Custard is here with the Cobra's Kiss into the death pain. Apex is able to find 1 kill. Aegis means a lot of that last breath damage, but it can find the auto attack. Custard might be able to get it, but perfectly turns it around with the stun. Even turns into the soul. Gommel able to come in and get a kill too. 2 for 1 in the solo lane.
Man, that was really, really close, but it ends up working out for Apex somehow. Some way able to escape. Custard didn't see if he had the ultimate right away, but Apex has to be really concerned about that low health pool that the Morrigan has early on. It is risky to go mano-a-mano with a Serket.
Oh, it's not easy at all. And Apex, we see why he's picking this Morrigan early on here, Ryan. Very comfortable on this pickup in the jungle role here is Apex here so far. And he's done a great job of using the most of these mechanics, using the invis, using that short-range big burst stun, even turn into the soul. I love that idea because if there was continued aggression, Disapparate would be a great way to get away.
Can strip that last breath away from you as well in that sort of spot. So certainly a pretty good counter pick option in some ways to go into the soul. If you get it off early enough, that Disapparate will save you from some of that last breath damage, which is otherwise very difficult to get away from.
Gommel continues to struggle to find those bird bombs here in the duo lane. That's a lot of why you want Odin early, because it's just so much damage as Apex gets breathed on over in the solo lane, is able to make it out of there without too much trouble. But those bird bombs, that's what Gommel's going to really need to make sure he's landing over here in the dual lane. That's a big part of it. I mean, obviously the cage and his damage is always going to be pretty relevant throughout that mid game, but early, that's the best part about having that warrior over in the dual lane.
Without a doubt. You're trying to get lane pressure by way of damage onto the opposition. It also helps you with your wave clear, of course. You can prioritize clearing the wave with it, but jumping onto a wave and just letting the enemy stay nice and healthy is a little bit risky. Bunny in a bad spot now. He gets caged, has that supernova. That'll strip away some of that Raven shield. Maker White's Boar doing some incredible work to actually find Bunny on the backside. Jerem will blind him into the grave.
That is going to be a fall there for Bunny off of the blink coming out from Gommel. Finally getting some value of that with the blink cage. The rest of the team looking for more blood in the jungle, but not going to find much. They're going to settle for mid Harpies, but that's kind of what we're looking at more from Gommel, to sort of play this aggressive warrior. Since it's not going to be the more controlling one, as Gommel might be in trouble now. Stun lands. Last Breath is here to push him back away from the rest of his team. Vintage dashes through. Earth and Fury has been committed as well. Jerem does find Vintage on the back end. Custard only needs one more shot to find this kill on the Gommel. The short-range blink will get it done.
Oh, but Jimmy's in a ton of trouble now. No mana for the mid lane mage. Good Aegis, well-timed on that Dark Omen, but still in a bad spot. Snipe is good from Jerem, and he hit Custard at the same time. The double kill with just one shot out of the mid lane raw.
Yeah, Jerem showing up to play here in the mid lane for Get On My Level. And that was very much needed because Custard had kind of been doing whatever he wanted here to that point. He had a really good chance to punish that because of the way they grouped with the Cobra's Kiss if he could have found more Deathbane damage. But Jerem responds very well with that Searing Pain.
That's the raw play that you live for as a mid laner. The double snipe, a close range, long range, good accuracy out of Jerem, who was, by the way, at the very bottom of the player damage charts before that fight. He had 250 damage so far in the game, knocked himself up to above 2K with just one fight.
He's already itemized into that Divine Ruin as well to try and shut down some of this healing. There is some here aside from just the Terra. I mean, even Bunny Z can sustain off that first ability, so try and cut some of that down as Get On My Level is going to have to watch out. A little bit more action over here on the solo side.
Man, that rotation in from Apex is good. Now he's going to transform into the Soul again. This time I think he would have been better served on something like the Circuit, but drops that kill. Jimmy does not drop it onto the Guan Yu. Easy final judgment there.
And Morgan back in Morgan form as Jimmy in some trouble on the back end. That shield should be more than enough. Gommel is going to fall. Custard rotates in late. He's low. He's going to need to retreat as Stygian Torment picks up Apex, and the breath burns him down. King of Heroes is looking like a hero to me.
And Jerem hit the snipe onto Custard yet again as he was trying to escape. Just a little heal will get it done for Jerem. 6-0-1 for the Raw. This was last pick, Finch. Don't forget.
And to be fair, and as you mentioned earlier, it's not as if he started off like a few minutes ago and he's been like slowly building up all these kills he's got. And he's showing up in these last couple of fights and really hit some important shots for this team. I mean, he's level 13. Get On My Level would be in a whole lot of trouble without the performance Jerem's had here these last few minutes.
No, he's matching the kills that Adopted Squad have worked very hard to get so far. And as you mentioned, just 2 fights that he's gotten this many kills, basically. 6-0-1 now. Level 13 in comparison to Jimmy's level 10. And it's just so hard to lock down a Raw when he's this far ahead because that healing becomes really, really prevalent. The extra movement speed from his passive feels really difficult to makes him difficult to track down. His damage just starts going through the roof. Raw's base damage is really, really solid. Even now on that Divine Light, the 2,
yes.
Normally you don't think of it as a big burst damage ability, but when he's this far ahead, it'll feel like it.
And it'll hurt particularly Custard, who's got to get up close to try and take care of him. The Boar is going to help out with Bunny Z, but is able to make it to the Zaporite form, not able to find the kill. Red buff invade being looked at. Final judgment comes through from Jimmy to try and bring Apex low, who's looking for a retreat path on the left-hand side towards the rest of the team. Get On My Level should be able to make it out here, but Apex looks like he still wants to fight. He sticks around. Cobra's Kiss off the blink sets up a kill for Custard.
Yeah, I don't know about that one there, Apex. Jerem gets stunned, and he's pretty low on mana, but Maker White seems to be the focus. Custard can't decide who he wants to go for. Maker White's no ultimate. This is the call for sure. Take the guaranteed kill, not the best kill.
And even though Jerem is the target that you want, he's difficult to take down right now. Jimmy puts in good damage, but takes a lot in return. Evade and punish aggressively, but can't find the shot. Looks like no glyph available, and Jerem is going to make it out of there. But it felt like the Custard and Jerem show here so far. Which one of those two have been more dominant throughout the early game has kind of been the story, and so far, it's been Jerem.
It has, and even though Custard has done great work, it's more that his counterpart is still staying relevant in this game. And Jimmy's done some decent damage. He had the good kill onto the Guan Yu on this blue buff, but it still just isn't the same level of impact that Apex has had so far in this game. Apex has been able to stay relevant more so than Jimmy has in comparison to Jerem.
Yeah, that's right. You know, how's Custard's Kevin Love doing this game? And it's Jimmy, and it's all right. You know, it's not that great.
Yeah, who's the J.R. Smith, though?
Whoever decided to name them Gommel, Get On My Level, and also Get On My Level.
Yeah,
that's the
J.R.
really
Smith.
cool.
Yeah, that's a J.R. Smith thing to do for sure.
Absolutely. Can you imagine being a fan of that guy? Can you imagine that being one of your things?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you have to be at least somewhat delusional, I think, to be at that point in your life. And, you know, I almost pity anyone who's in that spot.
King of Heroes has to jump away because there's 4 people in the solo lane looking to force down this tier 1 tower. They shouldn't have much trouble doing it because, again, there's 4 of them here. Meanwhile, Adopted Squad are trying to go in onto Maker White. They have forced out the beads already, but that means now the last breath can throw him back towards the team. That trap actually catches Jimmy, limits some of his mobility options. Meanwhile, Gold Fury's being pulled. Custard going to continue to chase, willing to die for this one, and is able to find the kill. Now they're going to head back towards Gold, which Bunny's already working on.
Gold Fury's only about half HP. I think that Get On My Level could have made a contest here on this Gold Fury. Instead, they're taking the trade of Pyromancer, but even that gets reset because King of Heroes is here. Snipe secures it for Get On My Level, but King of Heroes did a decent job forcing out a couple ultimates from Odin and Ra, respectively. I still feel like Get On My Level end up a little bit behind in that little skirmish. Take a look at the graphs. They're trending down towards Adopted Squad. The tier 1 tower and right is nice, but Pyromancer doesn't match that effectiveness as Gold Fury does, and Bunny gets his own tier 1 tower and left because of the extra kill onto Maker White, where he also got his beads forced. So I think that Adopted Squad should be very happy with that overall trade.
Well, it's very curious. I mean, we do see groupings at this stage of the game. They're not always that common, but for tier 1 towers on the solo side of the map, especially with Gold Fury still up, I mean, what was Get On My Level really looking for there? Or was it just that they liked their matchup here in solo, or they didn't feel like they had enough pressure on the duo side?
Yeah, I mean, before that, Maker White had a lot of pressure onto Bunny, so he probably felt like he was okay to take those 1v1s, and anywhere where Jerem goes, Get On My Level is going to have an advantage. He's that far ahead at this point. Getting Get On My Level, oh Lord, the Guan Yu ahead and getting him to a point where he can be this big, beefy frontliner in these team fights, I think is the idea. I think that the team was looking for the kill on the King of Heroes and the tower, but it just didn't work out.
Earth and Fury has already come out from Vintage, but he's trapped inside the cage. No healing there, and Jerem, of course, finds the hit. That's going to take down the Tier 1 tower and the support. Now Get On My Level, already trying to force down this Tier 2 tower. Apex waiting over the wall. He has his own snipe, courtesy of Jerem on the Morrigan Ultimate. That's going to clear up all the space they need to get to Tier 2. But King of Heroes comes in with a big Stygian Torment and a 2-man stun.
Very good. Jerem down to half HP. Maker White down to 0. Bunny puts him down. Now Odin in a ton of trouble. Last breath. That shield will help out Gommel, but I don't think it'll be enough to save his life. Custard going to be able to chase him down nice and easy as Jimmy cleans up and earns himself a kill with the easy hieroglyphic assault. That's a huge play by King of Heroes.
Yes.
That tier 2 is going down without him, but he comes in at the perfect time and picks up basically everyone on the blue side.
That was so important. That fight was lost without King of Heroes coming in for the rotation. But where was Jimmy there in that fight? I mean, that's a great setup. 2-man stun came off the back of that Stygian Torment as well. Luckily, Bunny was able to get in position to follow up with the Supernova, and that was really the only way to punish.
Jerem in trouble, but that snipe crushed Custard. He's going to have to get out of there. He will do so. Final Judgment hits really well there onto the Guan Yu. He's likely to fall. Jerem just buying himself a bit of time and nearly kills 2 people, but finally the raid boss is down. Get On My Level just sticks around a little bit too long there, both the team and the player.
Man, if my mid-mage can buy time the way Jerem buys time, then I'll take it every time. This guy does a little bit more than just barely getting his damage off. It's so much at this point. 7-1-1, almost finds those return kills, but more importantly, Adopted Squad, the one that actually get them, they pick up 2 extra kills on the back end of that fight and keep the Tier 2 tower standing. Now we're evened up. Golden experience-wise, this is even across the map. Jerem's still ahead of Jimmy, yes, but overall, throughout the map, it's been evened out.
It's been impressive from Adopted Squad so far. Remember, this is an 0-3 team, whereas Get On My Level is 3-0, the only undefeated team in the Southeast Asia region right now. So this is an impressive performance from them, I think, regardless of the outcome of this game. Adopted Squad clearly showing that they've got what it takes to compete at the higher levels. I'm talking specifically about King of Heroes, Bunny, and Custard. Those 3 have been huge performers so far from Adopted Squad.
And King of Heroes really is ahead of Get on My level right now. A couple level advantage that's given him some credence to kind of move a little bit further forward in these fights, finding big Stygian Torments to set up for the rest of the squad as well. He just needs that follow-up to be there for him because Custard's still good in these team fights. Not going to be able to find those same kind of isolated picks you find in the laning phase where he can come in and gank. So that space really needs to be created so Custard can move throughout the fight as efficiently as possible.
Do you think that Get on My level and Gommel just like met each other in a game one day and were like, we're destined to be together, we need to be on a team? Or do you think they changed their names to this?
You know, the first one's a more magical world, so I'm inclined to want to vote for that.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost certainly the second world where this is hilarious, and so they went with this.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to choose to believe the first one. That's the thing, Finch. I think that just creating your own reality is the call these days.
No, that's how you end up supporting J.R. Smith. You create a reality where he's relevant, where he's good. I don't want to do that.
I hear your point, and it's a relevant one. But in my reality, it's fine by me. It's totally fine.
J.R. Smith's trash. There's someone nearby here who I think might be a fan of it. But we all know that he's not that good.
Gold Fury about to spawn now. Up in about 5 seconds. And that last few skirmishes where Adopted Squad bought themselves some time was actually really critical because Jimmy now is in a much more relevant spot to contest Jerem.
Well, Maker White already dropping the ultimate. Bunny getting taken down early here will be very important. Aegis has been expended, is able to juke through the minions. Sprint comes out, but he's dodging the shots. Can't quite make it to disapparate. Maker White is going to find that kill. Meanwhile, Stygian Torment from King of Heroes collects 2 into the paralyzing Spit. Gommel low, as well as Apex, but they're both on the back end.
Nice shot there. Final Judgment is not quite enough work, though. Custard, no ultimate, still finds the combo and escapes. Well played there by Custard.
And now the fight's going to continue on a little bit more even ground. 1-for-1 Hunter for Jungler. Adopted Squad have been able to force back Get on My level one more time. And King of Heroes not happy with just that. He wants a stun because Gold Fury's being looked at already by Get on My level.
Sustain is going to really help out Jerem in this spot, and he's got that ultimate to secure this Gold Fury. Just a matter of if this team wants to just try and trust him to secure it or try and drop it and get some kills. Problem is, level 17 Cerberus, it'll take them too long to get that kill. It'll just buy time for Adopted Squad to come back from base, and as a result, they end up just leaving the objective alone altogether.
And that's huge for Vintage and King of Heroes, to be able to keep this game even and not let Get on My level find any extra gold to build up free advantages right now in this game. So just the two supports, or the two Guardians, rather, King of Heroes and Vintage, able to come in, force them off that objective, and again, strong individual plays from King of Heroes and from Custard in the last team fight to help out, because Bunny got caught out very early on.
He did, and just no Phantom quite yet for Adopted Squad. I imagine they're relying on Vintage to hit level 12 before they pick that up. Also don't have a lot of anti-heal yet. Just 1 Pestilence and 1 Divine Ruin means that this Raw Sustain and the Guan Sustain is going to be tough to stop.
Well, Gold Fury's already low. It's down below half HP. Bunny right here has Supernova, but Cage has come out, but the Gold Fury has already taken it out of the equation. Vintage has to retreat. Boar is going to be popping from the team fight here. It's already got King of Heroes low. Final Judgment goes through, and it's not going to have quite the impact they want. Meanwhile, Custard on the right-hand side is all alone.
But this is where Jerem Sustain is going to really help out. Custard run into by Guan Yu, but Guan not too interested in doing anything else. Looks like Bunny just dropped the Supernova. Didn't really find a home. Get on My level, just playing around their Sustain so well. Apex hit that snipe. And no, it was Jerem's snipe and Apex's Dark Omen that the damage together popped Custard.
Well, that's what happens when you're Raw's this far ahead. Now Vintage is the one that wanders into a bad part of town and gets destroyed. Get on My level.
That was close.
Are able to secure the Gold Fury just barely. King of Heroes pulls everyone in, but pulls them all into his own death. Now Bunny has nowhere to go. Maker White finds a double kill in the jungle. Vintage has survived so far, but Jimmy has got to run for the hills. The entirety of the Get on My level squad are barreling down this lane, but where do they want to go? Tier 2 tower in mid is low. They don't have a minion wave here, but they don't even need it as long as Maker White has the autos.
Man, this has been the Jerem show so far. That last little fight, it's kind of awkward. Everyone's low, but both sides have a little bit of sustain. And then Jerem and Apex at the same target at the exact same time and just blow the fight wide open. Then King of Heroes is forced into a weird spot to try and contest. He nearly got that Gold Fury, by the way. It was very close. Just a little bit off time. And then he ends up falling. Bunny is baited into a bad spot. Get on My level, get a tier 2, a Gold Fury, and a Pyromancer. in a game that was very close just a few moments ago is now anything but.
And they're going to go back and spin that gold lead. You know, I'm wondering, why are they not willing to go for this Fire Giant? Well, the Gold Fury, the tower, all the kills, none of those really give you a lead at this point, so you go back and spend it. So they are going to go back, actually put that money to work to get them a few more items. Then they can come back in and actually fight up against Adopted Squadron with a bit of a leg up in this fight, because clearly they need it. These two teams are much closer than I think that record might suggest.
I really thought that this is going to be a pretty easy game so far for Get On My Level, and it really hasn't been. I think that Adopted Squad have really shown up today and proven that they can play at this level. It's just they have a few more things to learn.
We can't say that either, by the way. We can't say play at this level. They've ruined even that.
Right. Yeah,
Fire Giant is very low, though, Ryan. Odin Cage has come out, trying to zone everyone away, but Vintage is here. Get On My Level, are able to secure the objective, but now can they win the team fight? Already on the retreat path as Custard is on the back line of the fight. Instead, Apex is pushing forward aggressively, but gets chunked. He turned into the Artemis and is critting. King of Heroes, Gommel comes in to clean up, but Bunny takes down Apex in trade. Jerem is able to find Custard. Vintage here, look for the auto attacks. Balls Bunny is inside the separate form. The wall is good, but Jimmy just that much better with the evade and punish.
Man, there goes the Odin right up and over the top, and he'll secure the kill onto Bunny. Vintage on the run, but Jerem gonna chase him down nice and easy with that Divine Light.
One more kill going the way of Get On My Level. Jimmy does find a way to trade one more out, but the most important person, Maker White, is still standing. Jimmy falls. A full-on deicide for Get On My Level. This Phoenix with the Fire Giant with the sustain from the Guan Yu should be no problem for Get On My Level to burn down.
Man, if Jerem just uses his relics in that spot, this game is probably over. He had both up and could have just beads Aegis, let Jimmy fall to the damage from his warriors, and then these three members could have sustained up with that raw heal and raw ult coming up. I think that could have been game, but Get On My Level's mid laner just a little bit too slow on the relic usage.
Yeah, still too close there on that one. I understand Custard was coming up, but I mean, they might have had a chance to push in on that one.
I think they do. I mean, there's only one tower left standing. You would have two Phoenixes, but the double sustain, raw ult, Maker White's damage on these objectives, I think they would have had a chance, but make no bones about it, Get On My Level is still in a very commanding spot in this game.
Absolutely, and they're certainly still going to have a chance to come in and cause even more problems for Adopted Squad. And that last team fight, boy, it was so spread out and all over the place. Adopted Squad couldn't make it in time to get a proper contest off. Give some credit over to Gommel with that Odin Cage to zone off a couple of members. And once that fight actually broke out, Fire Giant was destroyed. Get On My Level were able to sort of swarm over Adopted Squad.
Man, a mystical mail for It's Custard. Didn't even notice it until right now, but he goes for okay, so he goes for the Jotun's Wrath, very standard, CDR, pen, power, all the good stuff. Then he goes for Enchile, which with Apex in the jungle, magical damage dealer, great against the Morgan in general. I think that's the perfect selection for him in that third item slot. And then he just decides, I want to spend the next 8 to 10 minutes buying one item that barely has any effectiveness. I think he's buying it to try and reveal the Morrigan once she goes into stealth with that pulsating mystical mail damage. But why not just use Last Breath and, like, I don't know, kill her?
Apex does turn over into the Raw that Jerem has gotten pretty farmed up at this point here in the game. The double sustain, the double Raw, the double beams. Only way that could have been better if it was Raw America, but doesn't able to find the snipe. So that is going to be the ultimate down from Apex as Gommel goes in aggressively on the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Get On My Level is trying to take down King of Heroes. Phoenix falls. The cage has already been dropped, but Vintage has been left alone and trapped. Maker White finds that kill. Next up is Bunny. Can't begin to separate form. Get On My Level. Find a second kill. Maker White needs help, and he's going to find it. King of Heroes comes in with the Stygian Torment. At least takes down the Hunter, but Get On My Level aren't done.
Jerem still has that snipe available, and he's going to use it to find Custard in the fountain. Titan is next for Get On My Level. They'll take game one.
It looks like they should certainly be able to get that done. Only Jimmy and King of Heroes still standing. Titan down below 25% HP. It's going to fall. Get On My Level. Do indeed take game one, but Adopted Squad do anything but make that one easy.
It was close. It was close to the majority of the mid-game even. 20 minutes or so is where that game really ended effectively for Adopted Squad, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing some of the item builds from them, the mystical mail for Custard, the lack of anti-heal in general, no obsidian shard for Jimmy in the mid lane. that's when those items would normally happen or not happen for the Mystical Male, and that's where it starts going wrong for Adopted Squad. I think that the item build certainly hurt them there.
Just a couple of small things that you feel like you want them to do better. But I mean, you
Yes.
got to give a little bit of a shout out there to Custard, to King of Heroes. The way they played that game was excellent. They just need a little bit more, I feel like, in the builds, a little bit more support, maybe from a couple other members stepping up a little bit more, and they're right there with them. We're still talking about that game.
Yeah, Vintage, I think, needs a different sort of god. I think that play style didn't really fit, and the Odin selection was certainly really difficult for him to play around. I don't even know that he got Phantom at level 12, but because by that time he was so far behind the Odin that it didn't really matter that much. I think that I'd like to see a little bit more respect paid if there is an Odin in the next game, because Vintage really suffered because of that selection.
Yeah, clearly that Odin pick was strong for him, and maybe do something to try and remove that one away. But
yeah,
we talked a little bit about the losing team. Let's go over and talk about this winning team. Apex had a great game on the Morgan. I mean, you heard me when it was picked. I said, that's a confidence pick. You got to be strong on it. And clearly, he was mechanically comfortable with making that selection.
I mean, Jerem, though, was the guy for me. I mean,
yes,
Apex played well, but it really was Jerem and Apex in tandem with one another that made this game work out for Get On My Level. It was really, really impressive to watch Jerem's show in the middle. This
is a crazy play. He's able to somehow make it out of this one. And the turnaround for the stun. I don't know. That's nuts.
37 HP? Yeah.
36 more than I needed, by the way.
Easy.
Not even close. But you talked about Jerem. That helps out the Morgan so much. When one of your players is able to jump out into an early lead like that, you can turn into them and have a second Fed Raw on the squad. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Apex wasn't quite as accurate as Jerem, but it's hard to be. My dude's hitting just about everything.
Yes, yeah. Jerem was really on point with the snipes. He missed maybe 1 or 2 max. I mean, it was really crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. Some of those shots were Apex. I don't want to put that on Jerem.
That's fair.
Nah, they both played very well on that Raw, but going into Game 2, some adjustments are going to have to be made here by Adopted Squad if they want to try and bounce back here against Get On My Level.
I think that if I'm Adopted Squad, the picks that I want to keep, Bunny has played well on Soul, basically all split log. I've got no problem with him going back to that pick. And I think you want to give King of Heroes Cerberus again. In fact, I'm not averse to just first picking Cerberus right now for King of Heroes. I think Cerberus is the first pickable as a god, and especially with the performance that their solo laner just had on it, it really turned the game and kept Adopted Squad in it.
Yeah, I really think there's nothing wrong with that draft on paper. I do think that as that game went on, the fact that it was all picked into an Odin really became more and more of a problem for them. So maybe if, as you kind of alluded to, they just make sure they don't let that Odin come through, they can pick very similarly to what they had. They had a lot of strong picks, and they played them very well.
They did, and I love the raw band that Adopted Squad go for here. Take Jerem away from that. No way. I don't care what you've got in that first pick slot.
Oh, wow.
Ganesh is not who I expected. I saw a G, and I was like, oh, okay, Guan Yu. No,
I don't have much of an answer on that one. Yeah, and so now Get On My Level are very happily going to take Guan Yu. Maybe they're thinking, man, Guan Yu and Ganesh, they're kind of close maybe.
Like a misclick maybe? Like a, oh crap, we just did that. An early Odin pick again.
Guan Yu Odin, I love it.
Wow.
This is a great early start for Get On My Level. These were 2 of the picks that worked very well.
Sure, I mean, Ganesh doesn't get stopped in Odin Cage. Remember that dash actually does get him through player-made deployables. So we'll have to wait and see. Robin can get out of Odin Cage pretty easily and spend some time in there. I imagine this will be for Custard, and I think that giving him another early pressure god is exactly what the doctor ordered. No Cerberus in the first 3, which surprises me, but these selections aren't bad on paper.
No, not at all. And based on how Get On My Level played, you don't necessarily worry about the Cerberus being picked away. Now, banned away is a different story because they did go with that double warrior last time. So as long as it makes it through, then they can certainly pick that one out. But the Scylla coming out from Jimmy, not to say that Jimmy didn't play well that game, but the setup or the follow-up was not always there.
No.
Get On My Level was getting some, or not Get On My Level, but King of Heroes getting some great initiations, and you weren't seeing the final judgment always there. So the Scylla, that's just that, but you need it even more. It's even less margin for error.
It's a little bit risky, but it does get out of Odin Cage. That root cripple is really relevant, so I don't hate it. Gommel seems to think that this Robin is not going jungle, because that's 2 assassin bans that I imagine would not be for the solo lane. Interesting. Plus Cerberus still left open. I wonder if they are more familiar with Adopted Squad, know that maybe King of Heroes loves to play something like Robin's solo lane. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, at this point, even if he does love it, someone persuade my man to play that Cerberus at this point, right? Because it's just that good. Poseidon going to be coming out, though. I love Poseidon. One of those great follow-ups to that Odin Cage, though. If everyone's stuck in there, Kraken just covers the whole space. But, of course, Cerberus coming out.
Good. I would have been very disappointed if we didn't get to see him run that back. And I think Poseidon is great against the Scylla, great against the Ganesh, great against the Xbalanque, and okay against Cerberus. But man, playing Poseidon into Robin is so difficult because you feel like you can never crack at him.
No.
He's got 2 options, even when he gets whirlpooled, to get out of it. Even when he Mystic Rushes on top of you, Kraken like doesn't do anything to him because of damage mitigation that he gets from it. If Custard just sits on this Poseidon all game long, and that's where I think he should be without the performance that Jerem had in that last game, then we could see some struggles, I think, for Get On My Level.
And that was the difference, I would say, in Game 1 as Apex going to be playing the Thor, this time instead of the Morgan, is that Custard had pressure, but it wasn't really on the mid lane ever. Jerem was kind of free to do as he wanted, so let's see if Custard makes that adjustment this game and looks for Jerem on this Poseidon. As you said, with essentially an Aegis, you know, every what is it, 12, 13 seconds?
It's 18 seconds at base, I believe, but it scales down as you level it.
And it feels good. It feels like it's up all the time.
Yeah. I've been a really big fan of actually prioritizing leveling the overhead kick second after that Piranha Onslaught. I think that the damage from the Shadow Fist is really good, but the cooldown reduction that you get as you level overhead kick is just so valuable. It does go down to it's 20 at base, which is it's crazy long.
That's good. It should be 20.
Off the top of my head, I believe that's the second longest regular ability cooldown in the game, second only to Sylvanas' pull. But leveling it down to 12 seconds on an ability that good, it does more damage, the cooldown gets reduced. I'm pretty sure that it's just objectively correct to level your 2-second on Robin.
It's just so good, I agree. And I mean, the damage is not that bad on it, and just what it allows you to do is perhaps even more important than leveling elsewhere. So we'll see if that's going to be the path that Custard moves with, as this time he's up against the Thor in the jungle for Apex. So not going to be turning into everything all game, but has plenty of initiation tools in his own right. This time with that Anvil of Dawn, with the wall sort of help separate. We'll see what Apex can do with that.
Vintage tried to just knock up the Odin Bird Bomb, which you can do. Speaking of knocked up, Bunny just got his Rising Jaguar interrupted, and now he could just end up falling here. Sprinted and Aegis were necessary in that spot. I don't think that's a waste for Vintage and Bunny. They needed both.
Well, this is the difference between that Odin in the first game, but already, look at Custard making the rotation.
Love
Get On
it.
My Level have got to be feeling confident to step up here, and Custard has a chance. If they pick the correct target, they're going to go directly on Maker White, who does have the knock-up, but does not yet have the ability to jump away. So Gommel in some trouble. He does leave, but Custard sticks on top of the Hunter, finds first blood.
Maker White leveling explosive bolts at level 2 is just as greedy as it gets. You need agility at all times once you hit level 2, and there Custard makes him pay for it with a perfectly timed rotation. Adopted Squad is really taking advantage of the over-aggression in this duo lane.
It just feels so good, though, when the duo lane's getting pushed up and the jungle makes that early rotation. Unless you're the one pushing up, then it's the worst feeling.
Then it feels bad.
Yeah, but it's just great timing from Custard to recognize that you really are playing, you know, as one team instead of like 3 different lane assignments. So rotating over and helping his team get back onto even footing.
I love what Jimmy is doing, though. With Custard on the left side of the map, speed buff was vulnerable. And even though Custard is getting some decent farm, you want to make sure that his speed buff gets secured. Jimmy is going to give up this mid wave after soloing speed buff to get left backs to make up for Custard missing the farm from speed while still giving him the advantage of that buff. That's really good teamwork right now from Adopted Squad.
And this makes up for sort of what we talked about last game where, yes, maybe he's evened out a lead that was there elsewhere, but he could potentially fall behind. Now there's a little bit less of that chance because Jimmy has been a little bit more generous with the farm in his mid lane. So I like this. This is sort of a discussion we had last time, and Adopted Squad doing a good job now responding to that and keeping the farm relatively even.
Apex has already backed, though, and gotten his boots, too. I wonder if Custard will be able to stick around long enough to buy his full boots. No, not quite. Backs just in time to get the boots, too, though he is sticking around. No, I thought he might have enough gold in hand, but still sits at level 4 with the boots, too, even with Apex in that regard. And that's totally a fine spot to be in at this point in the game. You want to get back and get that boots, too, before you hit level 5 as a jungler so that your level 5 gank that you want to make is a little bit stronger.
We're just following along with the mid lane, and Stitching Torment does come through and Get On My Level. They're not quite going to be able to bring him underneath the tower. But we were talking about Jimmy there in the mid lane. He's elected to go with this Aegis, which I think you almost have to do up against Kraken. It's so good and immune that damage, but you're also against a Thor. That's a lot of control. If he can catch you with that combination without beads, it's tough. He has CC immunity on the ultimate to help him get away, but Jimmy's going to have to play very cleanly here.
Yeah, it's a real catch-22 for Jimmy in the mid lane, where Aegis feels necessary against Poseidon because of the Kraken, but I'm a proponent of get beads in this sort of spot because you will get CC chained by Apex very easily. All it takes is one dunk and you're dead basically instantly, where with beads, you can beads and ult and not get knocked up by that Kraken. You'll take the damage, but you have the extra movement speed. You can sentinel. There are more opportunities to make plays with beads as opposed to just Aegis, where it's very easy for the enemy team to just CC chain you down. If there isn't heavy CC, Aegis against Poseidon is definitely the call, but if there is easy CC setup for the Poseidon, I think you're kind of trapping yourself by going Aegis.
It's the same for Bunny. We talked about it. We actually kind of appreciated it when he was getting dunked on by Gommel, but
yes,
again, if Apex comes over and makes a rotation, that's still more easy damage. But you have to make that choice. It's a tough one, so obviously they recognize they're a little bit more susceptible, but Bunny doesn't even have the I'm a monster like Jimmy does, where he's got that extended form of CC immunity. Could potentially get punished as well.
I think that it's a little bit more tempting for Bunny to go Aegis because you expect to see the Poseidon a little bit less in conjunction with Thor, whereas the Thor and Bird Bomb combo, you can kind of see it coming a little bit better. You'll usually have better ward vision around the duo side. Like, there's less places to get dunked from in duo lane than there is in mid lane. So with better ward coverage, you really keep yourself safe from that. And the rest of the duo lane for Get On My Level isn't that good at punishing an Aegis. They really don't care about beads that much. They really rely on their burst damage. So I think I'm fine with Bunny's Aegis. I still would prefer Jimmy to have the beads, though.
That's the call here from Bunny. Trying to immune this damage and make sure he's playing around Apex, who, again, hasn't really put that much pressure out on the early game. I thought that might have been a Morgan thing, but this might be a stylistic choice from him as the Odin Cage comes down to keep King of Heroes away from his own blue buff. Get On My Level takes a lot of damage from it. Stygian Torment is going to pull him under the tower. Paralyzing Spit a little bit too early, so he's able to get right onto the horse and leave.
That was a kill for King of Heroes. Definitely kicking himself for not getting that kill confirmed. It's a little bit early on that Paralyzing Spit. I like what Gommel did there in that spot, though, the player, not the team, to cage off King of Heroes to make sure that he can't get in there. It feels a little bit weird. I think a lot of players who aren't as familiar with the way the competitive game is played will say, oh, you just wasted an ultimate, but an ultimate for a buff at this point in the game is worth it.
King of Heroes expended a lot for the defense. Great jump to avoid the damage, but now Mystic Rush is here from Custard. Gommel in some trouble now that he's been slowed. I'm a monster! Deletes Apex from the map. Gommel gonna fall as well. Custard gets the credit for that kill. 2 quick kills for Adopted Squad to make 3 total in the solo lane.
Really nice rotation over from Jimmy, and certainly worth his time. Probably a little annoyed that he didn't get the assist credit onto Custard. Wasn't quite in range and hadn't hit him at all, of course, so only 1 kill for him. If he gets a kill and an assist there, that feels really good. But still, getting that first time a monster to hit is really, really big deal for Scylla players. I always felt that way. If my first one lands, it's going to be a better day. Especially ones without setup. It just gets you into that rhythm.
But that's different from crit, by the way, because we have this discussion all the way.
Yes.
Yeah, when you land that first one, you move into your rhythm. So, but it's not the same thing. It's like when you hit that first crit, you feel you're going to get a bunch more crits.
Right. It's less luck-oriented and more like, I'm sick at this game and no one is better than me sort of feeling.
But I'm curious. I know that everything was down for King of Heroes because of the rotation. Now Jimmy's in some trouble. Dunked down from Apex. Aegis does come out to keep him alive, and after all we said, Aegis was what worked for him. Jimmy's out of there, but that was my curiosity, is that we saw Apex go aggressive in solo. I know King of Heroes stuff was down, but we both just got through saying his best bet was probably on Jimmy or Bunny.
It's true, and it is okay there in the mid lane, but not quite good enough. Is Apex leveling his hammer? Can we actually check in with a Thor player and see exactly what he's prioritizing? Because it looked like his Berserker Barrage did not do that much damage on that gank. Yeah, he's leveling his Mjolnir's attunement. So in that spot, Apex needs to kind of commit to killing Jimmy underneath that tower. I believe he hammer auto did the spin and then hammered away to make sure he didn't take too many tower shots, but that's the risk of leveling hammer in this spot. I think I would have leveled Berserker's Barrage, even though it's not good. Not good for Jimmy. He just got comboed in the mid lane. Shoutouts to the change that lets you place Poseidon Kraken in the middle of Thor wall, because I used to get yelled at incessantly by my jungler for not being able to follow up off of a Thor wall because it was literally impossible. But it's fine. It's fixed now, and
you said to be
better.
Slightly off.
Right, and you get a little tiny half an inch where the middle will hit and actually knock up, and it just won't deploy otherwise. Anyways,
just making excuses for mid laners is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, whatever.
One of the easiest roles in the game. That's fine.
Whatever.
If not the easiest. Really.
Whatever, Finch.
Couple kills did end up happening though. Bunny takes a spill, as does Vintage in the mid lane. Get On My Level making some strong, or rather Adopted Squad making some strong responses, but it's going to be Get On My Level who are coming over towards the Gold Fury. Custard is still standing, can come over and try and contest the objective, but not going to make it in time. Get On My Level, grab the Gold Fury and some kills, and they want more. Apex dunks in on the Custard. Overhead kick and Mystic Rush do help him escape, but
nice
the blink
blink
coming out from Gommel even better. Cage inside, but he has the blink available. Custard's out of there.
Blink for blink, but one used the ultimate, so did the other. So pretty much a wash there. Did not get that kill onto Custard. Get On My Level likely feels like that could have been a kill, but ends up letting the Robin escape. But an early Gold Fury, and again, it's all centered around Jerem for me. He's 2 levels up already over Jimmy. And I know the rotation was good from Jimmy in the solo side. I don't think that's where it went wrong, but Jerem has soloed a lot of waves down. That we've seen a little bit more vintage in the mid lane in comparison to GOML. And then you just, the back camp farming, the XP camp farming. Poseidon can do that so easily because of his extra movement speed from the passive when he builds up that tide. Whereas Scylla needs to stick around and auto the wave down a little bit more with Crush. You can't just fire and forget with the 3-1 combo like Poseidon can, who then uses 2 to clear the jungle camp. Poseidon just power farms really, really well.
Pull comes over for Jemmy, looking for more damage. Get On My Level is the one that's really in trouble. Get On My Level, the player over in the solo lane. He's able to get out of there with his own horse. But take a look at Gommel, the other GOML. Whoa. Might not even have a chance. There's further aggression. Maker White goes to the airstrike. Aggressive rotation is coming in from Vintage. Maker White weaves in the auto, finds the shot, and he's got backup coming from the rest of the team. Get On My Level, get the kill, and they should be able to make it out here. In fact, they want to keep pushing.
Maker White impressive on this Jing Wei. 2-1-0 so far. Fell for that first blood and has gone 2-0 since then in Vintage, my friend. This is not where you want to be. Wrong side of the wall, but no problem for the Kraken because you can place it anywhere in that wall now. Did I mention that yet?
I just hear like a whining noise now whenever you talk about how hard it is to be a mid-mage.
First of all, that's a wambulance. So
no, it's not a wambulance. It's like literally like this just wailing. It's the worst.
Are you saying that I'm reeing?
I would never.
Thank you. I thought that
whether or not I implied it, I would literally never say it.
So you were implying that.
I was implying it. Yeah. But I wouldn't say it.
All right, we're gonna have a problem with this.
Adopted Squad.
You couldn't do it. You couldn't deploy it. It was impossible.
But on either side, Ryan. Play your lane. Play your lane.
The circle, the inner circle that you want. It's like you can't. You just couldn't do it. You couldn't knock up off Thorwall unless you hit like the tiniest sliver. The tiniest little sliver.
Can't see my world's smallest violin because Get On My Level are drowning it out. I'm a monster forced out. Maker White doesn't get hit, but Custard finds a kill on the backhand side. Crush damage is there, but Maker White continuing to look for the trades. Airstrike doesn't land. Maker White now going to have to retreat. Get On My Level is going to fall. Custard now with a double kill. Maker White continuing to fight on the back end. He's not getting any support. Crush comes in. Dunk from Gommel to try and get him some space, but King of Heroes finds the kill.
King of Heroes yet again just making plays for Adopted Squad. It's Custard who gets to clean him up, but it's been King of Heroes making it happen.
Ooh, able to get away from that Trident. That was very close. King of Heroes going to chase underneath the tier 1 tower. Ghastly Breath gets a kill for the Cerberus. Stop letting this man play it because he's going to continue to do plays like this. Apex trying to close the gap with the Anvil of Dawn. Vintage is low. I don't think Apex is done chasing with that Pyromancer buff.
Stun just a little bit too short, and then the hammer wasn't there either. Great dive there, Custard, and King of Heroes just target focused so well on the backside, and just no one from Get On My Level can keep up with both of their DPS.
7-0-8 between the two of them as Get On My Level, the player, dukes it out with Bunny, who's already had to use the Aegis. Tally with Sultan is able to find it. Bunny does end up falling.
Man, Bunny nearly gave Get On My Level the okie doke there. The 360 full circle by the Rising Jaguar. Get On My Level, cross-eyed, trying to find him with the Talu Assault, but just finally righted his vision and found him with the last few ticks.
Cross-eyed, trying to figure out where to put Kraken as well.
That literally was me in the mid lane. Like, Thor dunk. It got to the point where we had to have a conversation that you can't wall off of Thor dunk until I've Krakened. It has to be afterwards. Otherwise, I can't Kraken. This is the greatest work I've done for the community since being hired here at Hi-Res Studios is incessantly bother Ajax about letting people Kraken off Thorwall. That is a conversation that I had with him multiple times until he did it just to shut me up.
All the other mages, I'm sure, are
You're
singing
all welcome.
your praises. as King of Heroes continues to have a great start to this game. Jimmy in trouble. Aegis to immune the Kraken damage. Still gets hit by the Whirlpool, and Gommel can't quite get there in time to follow up, but this Cerberus for King of Heroes. Custard on this Robin having a great game so far, but more trouble for Jimmy as now they come in with the dunk. Maker White is the one that's going to find the last hit, but King of Heroes will even this out. He's got to retreat with the airstrike, is Maker White. But now Gommel has a chance to get collapsed on.
Vintage is trying to chase him down and give vision.
Good
King of
start.
Heroes, another great stun. Apex tempted to try and stick around and help him out. And Custard just got walled off there. It's set up for damage by that Guan Yu. Gommel still on the run, but Maker White gets met up in the mid lane by Custard, who casually finds the kill on his way towards the jungle.
Now Apex does a good job finding him with the wall. Good three-man stun, but
He's
Sprint
dead.
and the leap come out. Now he's been silenced inside the damage. Is able to finally teleport to that hammer. Has a chance for the escape path. Paralyzing Spit can't land either. And Apex still running for his life. Wall
Wow, he's out.
is perfect to keep everyone away.
Caster's Curse, you're welcome, Apex. Got him out of there by calling him dead. Just enough CDR, 20%, enough to get him out of danger. He's got plenty of damage in this build, but now has found himself in a bad spot. Beautiful. That is like the best feeling. Just crushing someone when they try and Thor wall away.
Vintage.
Or Thor hammer. Vintage like makes up for every misplay he had in game one by just schooling Apex.
Couldn't have been a second later with that. Perfect timing to be able to grab it. Now Gold Fury, they need the secure here, but get on my level, take it. Just too late there. Jimmy with the I'm a monster. Now Gommel is low and likely is going to fall here. Bunny puts that auto out, but that evens the game right back up.
I felt it as soon as Jimmy sits up and I'm a monster and just waits and waits and waits. I just had that feeling in my stomach, man, that it was going to go poorly for Adopted Squad, and poorly it does go. They lose the Gold Fury off the missed secure from Jimmy, but it's not all doom and gloom. They do have the XP lead still in there, at least a little bit, not too bad.
And on my level, is able to heal through some of that poke on the Guan Yu as they try and aggressively hit the tier 1 tower. Unable, though, to grab that Gold Fury, so things are much more even. Apex comes in with the Thor dunk, but the level, the Guan Yu player continuing trying to look for some damage. Mystic Rush to get up over the swipes. Crush a little bit too late, but Apex gets tracked down. Bunny is there to find the kill. They're going to look for the Guan Yu on the right-hand side now as the whole team is here for the collapse. Maker White uses airstrike. Gommel blinks in to try and cause some confusion. Crush is strong, and Bunny finds another kill.
Maker White just way too aggressive there, and he gets punished accordingly. Gommel trying to get away from Bunny and Vintage. Bunny's just been stacking damage, man. He's 4-3-2 at this point and been doing quite a bit thus far. Teleport in from the Guan Yu to try and help out his support, but Bunny's locked in the cage. No one else is coming, though.
Right now, they don't really have much potential. In fact, King of Heroes is coming in to turn things around with the blink over the wall right into the Stygian Torment. Get on my level, is using the Talu Assault, but it's not enough damage. Bunny finds another kill, 5-3-2 on the Shibalanke, and a whole lot of that came just from this last team fight. Looking for the tier 2 tower and right, but they don't have enough to push. Tier 1 still standing, so they got to fall back.
Adopted Squad is just kind of baiting Get on my level into these weird fights where it's preventing the red team from farming efficiently. Apex just now hitting level 14, whereas Custard's been level 15 for a while now. It's just been these consistent brawls that have stopped the farm. Jerem's been level 14 for God knows how long now in the mid lane. I mean, this has really slowed the pace of the game down for Adopted Squad and gotten them back in it pretty quickly.
Now, unfortunately, the gold lead's not there to match up with the experience lead as Apex continues on the Pyromancer. Kraken is there to help secure. Pyromancer still standing, though. It's been reset. Bunny is the one that's going to get it and the kill.
No.
Looks like Pyromancer does still go the way of Get on my level anyway as Custer continues to chase.
Apex actually teleported in and stole it, whether with the hammer or the auto attack, but because of the lack of commit and the reset right as Kraken came out, had to make up for his wrongdoing, I suppose. But now Adopted Squad get an opportunity to push now, as Get on my level is still pretty scattered.
Tier 1 tower comes tumbling down. Vintage looking for someone to catch out from Get on my level, but they're still pretty clumped. King of Heroes is unafraid to step forward. Gommel only level 12 at this point. King of Heroes jumps out of the cage. Bunny not gonna be so lucky. Rising Jaguar to juke around inside the cage, so he's still alive for now. Sprint comes out, and now they're going for the turn and burn onto the Guan Yu, who dashes forward. Jimmy is in the I'm a Monster, can't find a target yet, and is still being very, very patient.
Finally fires it off, forces the Aegis out from Maker White, excuse me, Mr. White, that's console. King of Heroes doing what he can to shred down the prots of Gommel, and he can do quite a bit, but that crit coming from Maker White off the knock-up, knocks down Jimmy.
Now Apex is the one in a little bit of trouble. Custer goes to the dunk, and he picks Jerem as his target. Bunny is able to find level on the back end. Maker White still trading. Double kill now for the jungler for Adopted Squad. King of Heroes able to bring Apex tumbling down as well. 4 kills on favor of Adopted Squad. They only had to give up 2.
Maker White, the lone member of Get On My Level left, but he does seem pretty healthy here and still has some purification beads. King of Heroes going to be the one he's got to watch out for, and he has to try and dash away. Just got out of range in time. Crit's going to need to be necessary here.
He's got a chance with the way these autos are swinging at this point, and I think that Adopted Squad recognized Maker White is not to be trifled with. Vintage, in fact, going to walk back to a bad part of time. Explosive bolts hit him. He didn't even get the crit RNG there. Just gets it done.
Vintage just on a different page than his other frontliners. They were like, all right, bro, let's give it up. And Vintage goes, oh, so I should just go on their side of the map by myself? Is that what you mean? And that was not what King of Heroes nor Custard
meekly
meant.
from the back row.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't mean that.
In the end, Vintage does end up falling, but Adopted Squad, what a bounce back. And again, I mean, can we stress that? I mean, coming into this, they were not favored here in this set. They looked great in game 1, but eventually that one got away from them. They still look good here in game 2, experience-wise, but they haven't been able to confirm the objectives. There's been a couple miscues from Jimmy, a couple times where they weren't all together in their team fights, and that's let Get On My Level stick around, at least gold-wise.
Yeah, this XP lead is actually massive right now. I mean, a 3-level lead for King of Heroes, who, again, is destroying people on the Cerberus. 5-0 and 14. An insane performance from him yet again. Level 17 for Custard, 8-2 and 8 on the Robin. He's looked great. Apex very far behind. He's got 6 deaths in hand. For as much as it was all the Jerem show for me in game 1, this one's been all Maker White. And as long as he can rein in his aggression, he just goes a little bit too aggressive at times. If he can just play a little bit more passively, a little bit more safe, then
this
Get On
is
My
his
Level
Gold Fury too. Is anyone going to come over and stop this? As Custard is at least nearby, I think Maker White's going to be able to grab this Gold Fury and sneak it away. Meanwhile, the action is breaking out here in the mid lane. They do drop the Whirlpool to force them all back. Adopted Squad want to try and keep forcing it.
Have not the sustain that Get On My Level have, and that's where Guan Yu, I mean, he's 3 levels down. He's not done anything in comparison to King of Heroes, but at least he can just press 1 and heal up his team, and that's where that utility comes from, where you don't need to be very far ahead to be helping out the squad.
5-on-5 grouping now around the Fire Giant pit. Everyone's here. Get On My Level's a little bit further forward than the rest of his team, but it's Adopted Squad who are the ones that have the actual positional advantage at this point if they can try and get some ward control as well. They haven't really postured like they actually want this Fire Giant. They're trying to see if Get On My Level will overcommit.
If they had some deeper wards, they'd know that Jerem just backed and Apex has used everything in the mid lane, and Custard will meet up with Apex in the mid lane, but without Pyromancer and Adopted Squad being this close, like they don't want to just force a Fire Giant fight necessarily, and I think that it does come back to that miss secure on the Gold Fury where maybe they lose a little bit of confidence in these toss-up sort of situations.
That's starting to feel like it could certainly be a problem. As Fire Giant has now been looked at. Get On My Level, though, are here in full force. Knocked up is going to be Bunny. He takes unnecessary damage there from the Fire Giant. They've got to rethink this now to Adopted Squad. Get On My Level are here. And Maker White, with all that crit, there's no one on the other side itemizing much in to stop him from getting those big crits off.
No, and with both Jimmy and Bunny taking a quarter or a third of their health from Fire Giant, that makes this fight a lot worse. I do think Adopted Squad need to be forcing fights, but this might not be the one.
Gommel does blink in and drop the cage. King of Heroes is going to do his own blink to try and pick him up with that Stygian Torment, but Bunny's in trouble. King of Heroes, though, takes down Jerem very early on. Get On My Level's gone too far. All alone, the auto attacks are coming through, and Jimmy finds that kill. 2 for 0 so far. Custard is in some trouble. Apex brings him down. King of Heroes dies, so now it's evened up 3 for 3, but Jimmy, once the I'm a Monster, can't find it.
Very close. Bunny going to keep going here, and Maker White just healing up off that blue buff. Gommel pretty low. Apex not deterred. That's his hammer, and Vintage is looking for him, but Maker White's coming around the back.
That's right. No one's looking for Maker White. This Hunter, who's been shredding everyone, has gotten free reign in this fight so far. But we saw it there. The 2 jungles and solos each dove in the back line, each got some work done, then died.
Yes, that's how it happened. I mean,
or rather, Jerem was the one that died for them. But yes.
Jerem ends up falling with his Aegis up. Not sure what happened. Probably a CC chain off of Stygian, maybe Stygian Torment knock up straight into Mystic Rush. Killed him.
He died very quickly.
Probably enough damage in that spot. Still think you can beat Aegis in most spots like that, but regardless, Jerem having a bit of a struggle against the dive potential of King of Heroes, but Now the King of Heroes has Midgardian Mail. It's going to be a lot harder for Maker White to chunk through that server, as Executioner will help out in that regard, but Poison Star and Deathbringer are much more suited to kill Jimmy and Bunny very quickly than, say, a level 19 Cerberus.
No, almost no one wants to try and deal with King of Heroes right now. As little to do with him as possible would be ideal for the rest of Get On My Level at this point. But when Maker White, he's kind of been lost in these fights. So when he is able to find everyone else, and I do mean everyone else, he's able to do plenty of good damage. King of Heroes, though, a little bit isolated here. Got to be careful, does jump away.
Only one Phantom for Adopted Squad, and it's on cooldown right now. Vintage used it in that last fight. Gommel has Blink Up in 5 seconds, and you can bet he's going to be looking for Bunny in that cage. He's the easiest cage target, but they need a little bit better follow-up than they got last time off the cage.
Yeah, you don't want your Bunny running away, so, you know, you get a cage.
Bunnies do feel at home in cages, yeah, they feel good about it.
Hopefully Bunny won't feel too at home in this cage, though, and he'll try to run away. King of Heroes locks up everybody with the Stygian Torment, but I'm a Monster is off the mark. Jimmy makes up for it anyway by coming in with the crush. Still find a double kill, but Maker White is able to take him down in trade. Apex goes up into the sky to get away from the damage, but Get On My Level not going to be quite as fortunate. He's been silenced out, and Bunny is there with the auto attacks.
Maker White should be next. One hit from death, and Bunny is looking for it. Lifesteal not enough for Maker White. A double kill for Bunny, and Apex with no ultimate will sneak back to base. The Adopted Squad should get an easy Fire Giant here, and would you believe me if I said that fight is won entirely because King of Heroes? Like, it's that simple in these fights. He's just done it all.
But, I mean, what a roller coaster that initiation was, though. It was such a great Blink Stygian Torment, and I'm feeling some kind of way, and they managed to win the fight either way there, Ryan. So now they've got the Fire Giant Adopted Squad able to kind of keep this game back close to even, at least gold-wise, experience still in their favor, and now they have a chance to go grab some Tier 2 towers and really break this game open.
Finch, remember when everyone said ADC is useless in Season 5 and its mid laners do all the damage and blah, 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 cry, all that kind of stuff?
They still do it.
Yeah, look at the player damage charts, Finch. Hunter, Hunter. What do you know? Good anime, good game so far from Bunny and Maker White. Thoughts?
Jimmy's got to hit his stuff.
Yeah, even if he had hit his stuff there, he's nowhere near the damage that Bunny or Maker White has contributed.
You're right.
Hunters are good. Not saying mages are bad, saying they're both good.
Bunny's had a game for himself, so has Maker White. They've kind of been a little bit left to their own devices in these fights so far, and you've seen them flourish in that space that they've been given. Bunny has done a great job, but it really was Maker White that kind of kept to Get On My Level in this one early. And Adopted Squad got off to a good start to this game, and they continued to have the experience lead, but the gold kept getting equalized by some plays that Maker White was making.
Maker White has done a lot for Get On My Level so far, but has not been able to stop King of Heroes and Bunny simultaneously.
Right.
And that's where the problem really comes in, is that these two now are so far ahead and in such a great spot that it's difficult to bring them down. Get On My Level, the player, not the team, has really struggled in this one. 1 in 5, level 16 still at 28 minutes. That's just not good enough.
Solo laner, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's just not good enough.
It's not going to get it done as the Adopted Squad are looking for the Tier 2 tower in mid and Get On My Level. I think perhaps correctly not looking to fight this. Now, I wouldn't hate them if they tried to defend on one. I want to get your opinion on this one here, Ryan, because they're not far behind gold-wise, and you don't want to let Adopted Squad sort of take that one part that you've been doing well away.
No, but mid-tier 2 was already a little bit weakened. Left tier 2 was very weakened, but that's not going to stop Gommel. He blinks in. Maker White is nowhere near the enemy team, but King of Heroes going to blink in, find one. Mystic Rush on a Jerem on the backside. King of Heroes finds one, Custard the other. Jerem has just been ineffective so far this game. He's had to deal with a lot so far.
And Adopted Squad are not done yet. Sprint was just used. Get On My Level, the player in some trouble, goes up onto the Guan Yu horse, so he is going to be able to continue to dash away. Adopted Squad a little bit not sure where they want to go, but they eventually turn towards the Phoenix on the left-hand side. They'll be able to bring it down without any trouble. Get On My Level, looking for the defense, but not going to be able to find it. Instead, Adopted Squad move right over to mid-Phoenix.
Maker White's going to have to start making plays, not just White, if they want to win this game. He has to dash away, though.
All right.
Mid-tier 2 is already down. Mid-Phoenix in a lot of trouble.
Mid-Phoenix is going to fall, but Get On My Level doesn't want to let him have that one for free. Vintage gets taken down. He comes in and forces them back after they take a whole bunch of damage. Bunny is going to continue to throw some auto attacks in, so the Mid-Phoenix still in trouble, and it does eventually fall. Maker White is on his way to the fight, but Adopted Squad already looking for the retreat.
Did you not like my making plays call, Finch?
I have no strong feelings, one way or the other.
I don't believe you. I truly just don't believe that at all.
We're supposed to be a team, present a united front here.
Yeah, I know.
So when off camera I show you that I didn't super love that, you don't have to make me say it.
I just don't understand why you didn't super love it, and just want to get some feedback on why that is. You know,
right?
Where do you think that call went wrong?
It's conception.
Why? It asked it. He's maker white. He needs to make plays.
How do you make white? What does that mean?
Don't ask me. He's making the white.
All right, you signed up for it.
I just need him to make plays. That's all.
He's been doing it all game long, but just not enough to keep Get On My Levels Phoenixes alive. And Adopted Squad have really started to play so well around King of Heroes and Bunny. And I mean, and I got to give credit to Custard too. We give him a lot of credit in game 1, but Bunny and King of Heroes have been so good that he's been a little bit overshadowed on this Robin, but he's been playing lights out as well. It's just enough of them have been showing up to cover a few of the gaps that have been there for this team in game 1, and now they're looking much better here in game 2, looking like they want to try and force Get On My Level into a third game here this set. But they haven't done it just yet. Fire Giant back up another 20 seconds. A tier 2 still to get on the right-hand side. Still a little bit of work to do.
Sir, I think it's this Poseidon pick for Jerem that's really hurting him, because it's King of Heroes blinks in, no CC immunity, so you have to beads. You beads, you start to run away, then blink ult from Custard, and you never get to Kraken anyone, because even if you Kraken Custard, he just overhead kicks and immunes it, and you can do it, but it's not going to really be relevant overall. I just feel like this Poseidon hasn't been able to do anything.
Oh no,
so
King
far.
of Heroes in trouble. He got caught by the Whirlpool into the knockup. Does have Stygian Torment, but he's stuck inside the cage. Get On My Level, need to come punish.
They have to kill
while
him.
they have a chance. Adopted Squad get the Fire Giant in the back end. King of Heroes still standing, but Maker White finally comes in, finds the shot. I'm a monster. Not quite gonna land this time. Get On My Level. The player is retreating, but everyone's here to catch him off. Crush is all they need, but the dunk hits
Huge.
3 coming in from Apex.
Jimmy really low. Apex still looking for it, but off the mark with the wall. Maker White brings out Bunny, and he's still really healthy. This could be huge.
Custard is able to take down Apex, 3 against 3 still. In fact, Gamo still looking for more. Custard on the backside, looks for Jerem. Overhead kicks, forces out the Aegis, but Gamo cannot do enough to deter the aggression from the rest of Vintage.
Custard juking out these autos. Maker White can't find him right now. That extra movement speed from the Masamune, too much. Gamo CC'd, huge Mandal of Discord stun, just as he anticipated, but he is now left for dead, as Jerem and Maker White will let him go to go and defend their base.
But man, you're not going to get an easier chance to kill King of Heroes before the start of a fight ever again than that. I mean, the Whirlpool into the knockup, then they had to come in for the cage too, and they got King of Heroes early, but it just took a little bit too long as Gamo somehow makes it out of there, and the rest of Adopted Squad are able to come in and keep that even and grab the FG.
Yeah, that could have gone even better for Get On My Level, and that's saying a lot, because Adopted Squad lost Bunny in that spot. He used both of his relics. They lost King of Heroes. Those have been the two that have really been the playmakers so far for Adopted Squad, but Get On My Level now buy themselves some time. I mean, Fire Giant's still on 3 members, but it isn't on Bunny, which is the most important one. And left side Phoenix respawns, mid Phoenix is about to respawn. If Get On My Level can make a solid defense here, then they're in a good spot.
In a game that, again, this game's still relatively even in every way except levels. And ordinarily, I wouldn't say they're particularly relevant, but this Guan Yu is still level 17. I mean, below the support of Gamo at this point in the game. And some of those extra, stats you get just from leveling up, they're relevant. Get On My Level doesn't have.
Yeah, my dude's just got to like walk into some minion waves. He'll just accidentally get level 20 at this point. The increased XP as the game goes on is super helpful. I mean, it's just incredible that he's only level 18 still.
Well, now the push onto the mid Phoenix. Remember, this one is weakened. It has already fallen lower HP, and Vintage is going to be the front line for them. They need a little bit more from Jerem from Get On My Level, but again, it's going to be King of Heroes. He blinks in, doesn't find much of the Stygian Torment. The Guan Yu has got to fall back as he takes a bunch of damage. Cage has been used to zone everyone away, but mid Phoenix cleanly has been brought down.
And just 2 ultimates used by Adopted Squad. I love that lack of commit overall. Get On My Level is just so squishy to Jimmy at this point, man. I mean, every crush hits him for a quarter, and that's just, it's impossible to frontline when one skill makes you lose that much health.
King of Heroes steps forward yet again. Wall means he takes a bunch of damage, but so does Gommel. He has to retreat. Custard on the right-hand side does get Kraken out, but he's even still standing there. You sprint just to kill him. I'm a Monster doesn't connect. Phoenix on left-hand side still standing for the moment. Apex comes in and takes down Jimmy. Now the wall to force Bunny to retreat as well.
Bunny's going to die here. Apex gets the double kill, and left side Phoenix fell, but
wow,
so will the rest of Adopted Squad. And this should be a full deicide, and can Get On My Level just march up left and win?
Well, it's going to be a long time for anyone's back up. Custard in about 35 seconds. The rest of Adopted Squad going to be a good bit after that. But Get On My Level, they're not all grouped up together. Looks like they want to push mid some here as well. I don't believe they think they've got a chance to end. They want to push up these fire minion waves and try and make their next defense easier.
I think they can win here. If they just go right past mid tower is just going to take up a little bit too much time. Just group up with Maker White and knock down this Phoenix. They could end without grouping up as one and just trying to split the difference here. No, like, look at how much time that mid tier 2 just took them. Now Apex is heading to the right. Get On My Level isn't looking for the end anymore, but I think if they dedicated, just push this left side, I think they can end the game.
So that could have been the call here, but now Jimmy and Custard are up. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for them now if they want to get it done. Custard going to try and force them all back. Left Phoenix does fall. Mid Phoenix is still standing. They've gotten all the tier 2 towers off the map. Get On My Level had an opportunity perhaps, but now they're going to need one more big play like that, and then they could come in. The groundwork has been laid. But if they just group and push in duo, I mean, it's just one Phoenix in their way, right?
Pretty much at this point. It's really, this game is basically even. Just the mid Phoenix is the only differentiating factor now. In fact, Get On My Level has that tier 2 standing on the right, so Titan will be a little bit tankier, but not too much. This, the fact that Bunny dies so early in that fight, and Jimmy's I'm a Monster just needs to at least hit in the same area code. You force an Aegis or something like that in those spots. He's holding them in weird spots. I don't know. The Scylla pick just hasn't really worked out for Adopted Squad. No. It didn't hurt them too much through the first 33, 34 minutes of the game, but you need to be able to convert on at least one I'm a Monster in the late game in order to really make yourself relevant.
And that fight, I mean, if you can't really ask Custard to do much more for you either, because he gets the Kraken out from Jerem, dives, the whole team collapses on him, Sprint comes out too. I mean, how does the rest of Get On My Level turn that around and make that fight even after how much they commit on the Custard? It's
just that no one took that much damage besides Jerem, and while Sprint was used, yes, Maker White got to hold on to his ultimate and his relics. Apex gets to ult and then rejoin the fight very easily. Those make it difficult to still win when you have that 5v4.
Gommel goes in and drops down the cage. Phantom comes out in response. They are going to try and defend the tier 2, but they get grabbed by the Stygian Torment. King of Heroes, though, gets collapsed on. Maker White finds the kill. Vintage is also getting low. He does come to the back line to help out Bunny, who's looking for the retreat path. Custard gets knocked up on the backside. Apex is right there, and now Custard falls. Apex gets that kill. They've lost King of Heroes. They've lost Custard. Get On My Level. 5 members strong, and a 3-man dunk. That's going to be enough to help them take down Vintage as well.
Vintage is going to fall. Did Get On My Level really turn this game around?
Wow, man.
Incredible. In that fight, it's just that Maker White nothing happens to him. He takes no damage at all, saves both his relics. This man still has ult Finch. Like, this guy did everything all game for Get On My Level. And in the last team fight, where you don't expect to really have that engagement on tier 2, I think Adopted Squad expected to just get that for free. Get On My Level, use that surprise factor, and Maker White just gets to roam free.
Well, that's going to do it. That's it. This set is going the way of Get On My Level, despite just how well Adopted Squad played in Game 1 and Game 2. A couple of things that are just off the mark, that just aren't there for them, and Get On My Level too strong to let that opportunity pass them by.
That's incredible. I mean, for a set with a team that's 3-0 and a team that's 0-3, to be that close is really crazy and shows you how competitive this region is becoming in Southeast Asia. As you mentioned, Mashu Boys, the team that came to the Masters land, they're in 2nd place right now. And Get On My Level improved to 4-0. You can tell there's a lot of things they still have to work on. And on the other side for Adopted Squad, sucks to be 0-4, but you know that come fall split, even when the standings are reset, there's a team you have to watch out for.
They're clearly looking strong. Just a couple things that they were missing there, but a lot of things that are looking really good for them as well. I mean, King of Heroes on this service continues to impress for me. In the late game, wasn't quite fighting a Stygian Torments the way that he was early on, but still was doing a good job, I think, of forcing back Jerem. So was Custard. They just couldn't quite get enough to finish the game off.
If Jimmy and Vintage can get up to the same level as Custard, Bunny, and King of Heroes, this is a real squad.
Oh, yeah.
For Adopted Squad. They just need to get those two up to par a little bit, and that takes time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a learning process. Mid and support are two of the harder roles in competitive Smite. No matter what you say, Finch, don't look at me like that. I'm not going to look at you now. This is something that takes some time. And
support is hard.
You'll get there, yeah.
Support's real hard.
Agreed.
I think it's the second hardest after Jungle. Jungle and support.
You think that, huh?
I do. I think everyone thinks that.
You're allowed to think that.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at those standings so we can get the incorrect Ryan off the screen here for you just for the moment. Adopted Squad weren't able to find that set victory, but certainly have a great foundation to build on off what we've just seen there. Mashi Boys falling a little bit behind Get On My Level, who still are undefeated at this point at week 4.
This is like, you could make some sort of cool like conglomerate team out of all the team names. Like, get your loyal Mashu Boys on my level, you Adopted Squad.
Oh, I love that, actually. That's great, yeah. Could that be our new thing? You Adopted Squad. Just like talk down, like
no, we don't. No, they're a good team. I don't want it to
not
sound
that
like
their name is bad. That it doesn't mean anything bad, but you say it like it's mean. That's where the greatness comes from.
So like how I use the word, like how I'm like, shut up, you Funch, to you.
Funch is just my name.
I know. That's why. See, I'm like doing the same thing. It's not. It's not bad. I just say it in a mean tone.
Right.
Does that feel good?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel good. But SML is going to be coming up here shortly. We're going to take a quick break, get everything situated for that as well, Ryan. We got plenty more Smite action.
Oh yeah.
So make sure that you stick around. We'll bring it right to you. Welcome to the SML Finch and Aggro here. Got to see us getting ready there a little bit, I think, but you know that we're always happy to bring y'all the action. We're going to be taking a look at the minor league, specifically North America. Very nice to me, going to go up against Space Station Gold.
Very nice to me has been the top dog in North America so far. I mean, they've been on top of the standings, basically all split long. You anticipate that they will continue to be the team to beat so far, so this is a big test for Space Station Gold, who's still just sitting at 1-5 so far.
They've had a lot of different looks, this Space Station Gold roster, a lot of adjustments that they've been trying to make, but there's no better barometer, really, than going up against the best. And I think very nice to me clearly are that at this point. But maybe not so clearly once Voltic looks like Armada are right there behind them at 5-1. So certainly a chance if Very Nice to Me drops a game for them to be caught.
Yeah, it's true. Very Nice to Me's got to keep on their heels. You don't see exactly where everyone is behind him. Armada's right on their heels so far, and I'm excited to see their second matchup. Obviously, the first one went to Very Nice to Me with their undefeated record, but Armada is continuing to impress.
Well, Very Nice to Me have a lot of veteran players there on their team. I mean, Payne Deviano's on this squad. Seems like wherever he is, that seems to be the top team down here in the minor league, and that is continuing for him on this Very Nice to Me roster.
I think it's Payne. It's basically everyone. Moswell in that mid lane has been so good.
Can you imagine going from Paul to Moswell? You're feeling thumbs up, aren't you?
You're feeling pretty solid. Both those mid laners are so talented. Sam for Soccer in the jungle, I think, is a huge component of this team. You can basically go down the line with Very Nice to Me and go, oh yeah, that guy's really good, and so is that one. Nearly
also,
everyone on this roster is SPL ready, I think, in their individual roles.
Let's go and take a look at the picks and bans here, Ryan. See exactly what these two teams are going to equip themselves with as they move into this very important match. Again, Very Nice to Me wants to win to create as much space between themselves and Armada as possible, and Space Station Gold have got to try and test themselves here up against the very best in the North American minor league, perhaps in the minor league in general. We don't know, and Signum's looking very good too over in Europe, but definitely over in North America, Very Nice to Me looking like that top bar.
Hey, Finch, when you do picks and bans for these teams, do you put Very Nice to Me? Do you put the smile next to Very Nice to Me? Because otherwise, you're messing up, just so you know.
Right. Sure it's not even, those aren't even official picks and bans notes I'm taking without that smiley face there for them.
It's very.
You have to draw a circle around it because it's not just a smile. So
no. It's Very Nice to Me. Smile is their true name. It's just that we usually drop the smile like a junior. Sometimes you don't say. You know what I mean?
I am a junior. Did you know that?
I actually did not.
Yeah, I'm a junior.
There's a John Funch Senior.
Dad, if you're out there.
People
are calling us
Funch.
But Very Nice to Me. Going to be second pick here. Space Station going to be the first one starting things off. Guanyu and Thoth have been banned away. Meanwhile, Athena and Achilles take away by Very Nice to Me. So far, fairly standard bans that I would say. This does mean the Shibalanke is able to make it through for Space Station. They're going to snatch that one up right away.
And that's a solid first pick. You do kind of lean yourself toward the late game with this selection, but you could still affect the map at any given time. You still have a lot of opportunities to make plays anywhere around the map because of Darkest Night. So I think this is a pretty safe first pick. But no surprise, the Very Nice to Me smile goes for the Artio right away. This is Payne. They first pick as God every game.
They do.
Like, it's always top 3. You're never going to see it in the bottom 2. So this Artio, I imagine, is going straight to Payne. And it does have a really solid matchup against the Shibalanke, who doesn't have any CC immunity in the kit. You could chase him down pretty easily, and that cripple field will really give him a nightmare.
But they haven't. But that does mean that Space Station Gold are free to pick up this Chang'e, which we've seen in the solo lane a lot. So this could certainly be heading over there for the Space Station Gold to give them some nice sustain. But Very Nice to Me are going to happily match that themselves, pick up the Hell, and a chance potentially to grab an Odin for themselves if they want to, unless Space Station ban that one away. So they could really come out of this one on top.
Interesting. They go for the Hell. I wonder if this is going to be in the mid for Moswell. It doesn't feel like a particularly Moswell God to me.
Sure.
I'd kind of be okay with seeing it for solo or troll in that short lane. I think that it can work out for him there. It does give you a little bit of an awkward situation where that Moonflower dance for Chang'e, her 3, her heal, also anti-heals, and she can bind Divide and Ruin and give it up to 90% anti-heal on that ability. But until that point, your Hell is still going to be able to out-clear, out-poke for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that putting Hell solo here makes a lot of sense.
Hell's so strong in that solo lane, I agree, but a bit of a flex pick between them, so it still has some room to move around. Meanwhile, Space Station Gaming, no bones about it, are banning away junglers. The Suket and the Susano have already been taken off the board, but of course that means the Mercury's still available. You and I have been talking about this quite a bit. Still a very strong jungler, if not a top-tier jungler right now, is this Mercury.
A little surprised that Very Nice to Me Smile doesn't go for Ratatosker in this slot, just because that is a Sam for Soccer special. Plays it all the time. It gives him great map pressure. Could have camped this Chang'e very, very easily. But Mercury can kind of do the same thing. Still has that early clear, good setup in the early stages, but really becomes that hyper carry in the late, whereas Ratatoskr kind of falls off in damage.
Now, very nice, the number 2, Me Smile, has elected to ban away the Odin and Cerberus, so that means that Agni, a very strong mid lane in his own right, is still available for Space Station Gold. A lot of control that comes with this pick, and can be very disruptive to what a lot of Very Nice may want to do, but the Sun Wukong comes in, so now we do have a few more questions about exactly where everything's going to be going in this comp. It looks like perhaps Hell mid now.
Hell mid is what I'd imagine. The slightest chance that it's Hell ADC and Ullr mid, but that is a very, very small chance, I think. The Wukong selection is interesting to me. It doesn't have built-in sustain right away in the kit. You have to use the ultimate in order to do that, and you can be anti-healed right before you go up in that cloud. That could be awkward against the Chang'e, but it's more about the poke potential is really solid. You can zone Chang'e pretty easily, I think, as Sun Wukong if you can get yourself a lead. Your buff secure is pretty decent as well. That's what you're really looking for here. If Solar Patrol can control that short side against this Chang'e, then this should be a pretty easy game for Very Nice to Me Smile.
And I like this. Sun Wukong is a very good bully in lane, especially going up against the mage. So this is, I think, could very well work out for him if he wants to try and limit what this Chang'e can do. But you got both these drafts here on the table. Which one are you leaning a little bit more towards?
I think I've got Very Nice to Me, but to be honest with you, I'm really going more off record right now than actual draft. I think that Space Station Gold has a really, really solid draft. Great CC, good damage, early, mid, and late game potential. I just think that Very Nice to Me is just a little bit too strong right now.
Well, let's see if that's how it ends up working in actual practice. Very Nice to Me going up against Space Station Gold. We're bringing the action to you right now.
Thank you, Finch and Aggro. Totally here with Taco. It's been a while since we casted together, but now's about damn time with the North American SMITE Minor League. How are you doing today, Taco?
I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm not sure how these two teams are feeling, though. I mean, Very Nice to Me. They've got so much momentum behind them. They've been seemingly crushing it so far in the North American SML, so it's going to be a tough one for Space Station Gold.
So you're on the board with Aggro, then. You're preferring the players versus the draft, then?
I think that to a certain extent, drafts are very relevant, but in this particular circumstance, Very Nice to Me just has so much behind them.
Well, let's go ahead into game number 1 between these two teams. Very Nice to Me with a great record thus far, undefeated set-wise in the SMITE Minor League Summer Split. Can't say the same for Space Station Gold, only winning their first set against Pablo.
And that first set against Pablo, too, it's a start, and that's the big thing. You've got to make your mark somewhere. Viper and Iceman have no idea that the entirety of Very Nice to Me is here.
But it's against the Kumbhakarna. If you kill him under a Tier 2 tower, you don't necessarily want to make that risky dive. And with how early this is in the game, Space Station Gold don't really lose much here.
They don't lose much, but Very Nice to Me still get the poke potential. And sure, Viper will be able to make it back before the creep waves even spawn, but they know that deep ward is probably there. They have to be on the lookout if they want to go farm their red buff. I think that it's already going to dissuade Space Station Gold from wanting to be able to rotate. They know that they have to start on their buffs as opposed to lane.
They're Very Nice to Me. They weren't necessarily looking for that first blood potential. Sure, it's nice and all, but you hit the nail right on the head, Taco. It's all about placing that deep ward on the red buff, because this Nemesis early pick out of Grave with the blink could be problematic in the dual lane.
I do think that Grave has some potential to gank, but right now it's all about Iceman and Pain de Beyond just looking to harass.
They don't really even care about the invade. They want to get the damage off before the waves even connect. Whoever wins this trade controls the buffs on the left.
Wowie and Pain de Beyond, though, not going to have time to just start on that purple buff. They don't want to miss out too much of this wave. No, instead, they don't care about the wave at all. They are still looking for this first blood.
I mean, hey, listen, if they're not getting the wave, neither is Space Station Gold. It's all about a battle towards the purple and the red buff. Both Iceman and Viper taking more damage than they bargained for, and this Artio Ullr combination was drafted with the intent of dominating the dual lane, and thus far, very successful.
The Space Station is going to have to cut their losses here, though, totally. There's just no way that they can possibly afford to head into their purple buff. Even Wowie and Pain didn't want to bother with the purple. Both sides kind of recognizing we do need the creep experience eventually.
And what happens in the dual lane, Taco, happens in the mid. This Hell was able to outpressure the Agni. Rotation from Sanford Soccer ensures the red buff invade. Purple is just a cherry on the top, and Very Nice to Me with a pretty convincing 1.5 minute lead.
This is a very strong start, but It's also kind of what very nice to me were drafting for to begin with. Their dual lane screams pressure. That's the only thing they ever really wanted to establish, was making sure that they consistently jump in and spam their cooldowns.
Forcing the beads out of Iceman. Keep in mind, he doesn't have his Rising Jaguar quite yet, as Wowie still trading blows, having great dominance. And the charts don't say that it's a demanding or commanding lead rather, but having your own purple and the red still available on your side of the map is what's going to put Very Nice to Me at the top of those charts very soon.
The other problem, too, is if they take the buff once, there's nothing stopping them from going after it a second time. Moswell in a little bit of trouble here in the mid lane. Graves still looking to harass, but he's going to get grabbed instead by Sam for Soccer.
Oh, the blink was used, and that's what happens when you go blink. You don't have the beads. Good body blocks out of Viper, keeping his own Hunter alive. And Viper actually almost trading out with Wowie with the minion wave right beside him. Will force Iceman to back, giving great lane pressure for Wowie.
Iceman knew that Wowie didn't have that Blade of Arrows available just yet. If he did, or the Hail of Arrows, excuse me. If he did, I think we see another death to follow shortly after the mid lane. But right now, that is so problematic for Grave that he's already going to be falling when his duo lane is missing out on their buffs as is.
It's only going to get worse. These red and purple buffs are respawning in less than a minute time with a rush of Transcendence from Wowie. He ran out of mana earlier on, but with that extra boost, hold that thought though, because Captain Falcon getting ganked in the mid lane as well. He had the Purification Beads, didn't use it against that dash from Mercury.
I think he was expecting to get the kill onto Moswell. I mean, it's not like Moswell is perfectly healthy by any stretch of the imagination. That was probably a solo frag for Captain Falcon if Sam doesn't show up.
So why don't you just use the beads, prevent the Mercury dash, get that 1 to 2 basic attacks off then?
It looked as though Captain Falcon had dashed in aggressively onto Moswell, so he's dead either way, I think, to the Mercury damage follow-up. It's just, even if you use the Purification Beads, he still has no real escape, and that would leave Sam more than enough time to just auto him down.
A red and purple buff invaded yet again. Very nice to me. Doing a good job thus far, still controlling a lot of pressure against Grave. Having to use that ultimate defensively, gets the slice and dice off. Meanwhile, in the dual lane, Iceman forced to retreat. The axe from Wowie is good.
And it's only getting worse. Every part of the map just feels like it's losing in their own respective rights. They can't even take their own buffs in the jungle. Moswell's got a decent experience lead now over Captain Falcon. And since he's not level 5, there's no kill potential.
Oh my goodness, Moswell really bullying Captain Falcon. He's similar story to when he was about level 2, being able to collapse on that red buff. And you're right, Taco, it seems that everyone in their respective roles, minus Russian Poppy actually, is struggling thus far. There needs to be someone kind of rallying the troops together.
Oh, Grave had no idea that Sam was waiting right behind that T1. Another death for Grave, marking 3 in just 4.5 minutes.
That's the power of the Mercury. He applies that global pressure down the lane. And once you invest into an aggressive blink, if you don't have that purification against that sonic boom, or even that special delivery, you're just asking for a bad time. So these 3 deaths seem about right with how much pressure Sanford Soccer has gotten.
It's good intentions leading into bad decisions, I feel, because Grave wants to pressure out Moswell, and I like where his head is at. I think that suppressing the healer is very important in terms of shutting down Very Nice to Me's composition. But when you've already lost so much at the start, Grave just needed to cut his losses where he could and look to just share whatever farm he can with his team. I feel as though he has a much higher likelihood of catching back up and recovering if he just ignores this duo side of the map for a little bit and looks to maybe soak a little bit from his solo laner. And that, sure, it's going to hurt Russian Poppy a bit, but Russian Poppy at least isn't coming under fire, and it might shift Very Nice to Me's attention away from duo towards solo.
The jungler needs a little bit of loving from one side lane. Wowie is getting aggressive. Iceman very healthy. Keep in mind, Grave is rotating from the backhand side with the speed buff. Needs to apply the slow to make this chase happen.
Pain to Beyond, though, taking the body blocks perfectly. Iceman still going to find Wowie anyway, and that's going to be an epic uppercut into the air for Pain to Beyond as Viper gets kill number 2.
Sonic Boom hits 2, actually. Sanford Soccer cleans up with a major look, goes onto the beatless Grave, forcing out the double dash as Viper actually respawns and goes right back into the grave. And that's a great focus fire, recognizing, like, this Kumakarna is not a value target. Let's go on the Nemesis instead.
My favorite part, though, is Moswell waiting for him to respawn, and Grave ends up finding Sam for soccer anyway in the
miss.
jungle. Not that he wanted to.
Not that he wanted to at all, but he'll take it either way. Almost hits the Meiji look. Really good juke from Graves surviving, but having to back, still going to miss out on a decent amount of farm. And I wanted to touch back on the Nemesis selection in general. Going for the very last pick out of Space Station Gold. And with the blink, you would think that he was wanting to focus fire somebody in this game. Who was it in this game that Grave wanted to focus fire?
Probably Wowie or Pain to Beyond. I think that a Nemesis with Blink can certainly do a lot of damage against these gods who don't have CC immunity in their kits off their ultimates. Neither Pain nor Wowie have an ult. They're relying solely on their ability damage for the early game. But Iceman and Viper were simply way too out-pressured in this duo lane that it just never made the ganks possible for Grave.
Oh my goodness, Iceman just can't do much of anything. Epic uppercut in return with the groggy strike, but he can't connect on the dash. Viper a little bit too slow. Wowie gonna use his own Guardian, Pain to Beyond, to help heal.
Wowie might actually end up killing Viper if he continues to chase. Pain's doing a great job peeling, and Viper doesn't have that Kumbhakarna passive any longer. Sprint's going to be popped, and the chase is on.
Oh, the jump from Wowie hits the axe from a distance. Just needs one more basic attack. Juke's not even going to matter as Sanford Soccer cuts away one exit path, forcing Viper to go to the other. Off screen, actually, during the red buff invade, Space Station Gold's Grave falls yet again for his 4th death. Couldn't defend the red buff.
Grave just has zero control over his jungle or anything on the map right now. He's level 6, completely starved of farm in every single possible location. Meanwhile, Sam chilling at level 10, Moswell level 10. Every single one of those red buffs, that's not Space Station Gold's jungle anymore.
Do you think this is why we see the decline of Nemesis, is that when you get this far behind, that it's so difficult to make a comeback?
I think with the...
Nice shot from Wowie.
Oh, man.
Styling on him.
That is so unfortunate for Iceman. He really thought he was out of there just trying to get those last couple of creeps. Wowie and Pain both don't have any mana left over. However, Viper still trying to close the distance, but these body blocks are beautiful.
Oh, not enough, though. Epic uppercut will seal the deal. Viper actually gonna cover the option with the dash, but he just dashes right through the ghost from Wowie and gets on through. And we're talking about Nemesis getting behind. Is this why she's on the decline of how difficult it is to get back into the game once you're behind?
Her early game jungle clear, I think, is just a little bit lacking nowadays in comparison to some of the other junglers. And I think Mercury is a primary example of one. The Meiji look has such a low cooldown in the early game that off of level 1, I believe it's like 6 or 7 seconds pretty much the time left over from clearing the first buff camp. And so you're not slowing down at any point. Meanwhile, Slice and Dice, it's like double the length on that cooldown initially. It's not as easy to reliably maintain efficient farm as well as making these ganks across the map. And I think that was just the big difference maker between the two. Sam just had the pressure from the start.
It's all about the damage per second off of your abilities if you're a jungler, and Sanford Soccer getting the better end of that one with just a pick, and also the better end of the trade with the duel and the mid lane pressure. It was all Moswell pressuring Captain Falcon, which allowed that red buff to happen. Both Wowie and Pain to Beyond feeling very frisky, but they had their defensive options covered. At the start of the game, when they grouped up, they placed a ward on the red buff so that could allow Wowie and Pain to Beyond to continue to play that aggressive.
But Wowie and Pain just did such a perfect job in distracting Viper and Iceman for so long that sure, Wowie and Pain aren't getting any of the creep farm either, but they're also not letting this duo rotate to mid to help out.
Grave blinking in. Wowie gonna get stunned out by Darkest of Nights. Here comes Sanford Soccer onto Grave, but it's not enough to save his Hunter. Viper goes down for the moment, and Sanford Soccer yet again ignoring the Kumbhakarna. We'll get to him later. Let's take out Grave again.
Easy double kill there for Sam off of a really nice Sonic Boom. Iceman, the only one that's gonna be able to make it out alive from his team that was hanging out in the dual lane, but Russian Poppy wants to try and defend his own blue buff. Solo Troll, though, making sure to harass him.
That's what you got to do in this matchup, but Solo Troll doesn't have much mana to really box against this Chong God that also has Waxing Moon and the Shell. Captain Falcon is around the corner. Waxing Moon connects. The bomb stun does as well. Dash is good, and that should be one dead Sun Wukong.
If Captain Falcon can find the final auto and
zoning autos,
making sure that there's no real escape, he had to juke right into Russian Poppy.
A great rotation from Captain Falcon. There needs to be more of that before this beefy Sun Wukong comes online. Already has the Pestilence available, making it difficult actually for Captain Falcon to make these ganks. It's more important for Grave to show face, especially when this Sun Wukong is trying to do a blue buff invade. However, with how much pressure there is in the mid, in the dual lane, you're asking a lot from one jungler.
You don't really have to see Solo or Troll, though. If you're very nice to me, Solo or Troll can get ganked all night and day by now, and I don't even think that very nice to me will even take a second glance because they have so much pressure everywhere else.
At least securing their red buff with the double bombs. Viper gonna mez out Pain and forced to retreat. Tier 1 mid tower gonna get taken out by minions, it seems, or at least gonna be very close to that. Whereas the rest of the Chaos squad looking for the gold here. I think this is the time where they want to start grouping up and fighting or baiting out this objective.
Oh no, Grave just absolutely destroyed off of the very first pull-in from Sam. Wowie still going for the chase and needs one more. The bladed arrows, though, just out of range, not going to be able to connect. Sam for Soccer is still charging this Sonic Boom. He wants to find Iceman and Viper.
Well, they got the Nemesis ultimate out of Grave. They're going to force a retreat from Space Station Gold, and this is a great power spike play. This level 13 health, 3 items deep, is going to be very powerful. Great sustain options. It's up to Viper to stop this.
Sam for Soccer on zone duty, but Viper has zero interest in trying to contest. At the very least, Space Station Gold were able to acquire the Pyromancer because of Captain Falcon and Grave. Grave actually nearly dying taking up that Pyromancer, but it's something.
Oh, the blink from Sam for Soccer. Great reaction from Captain Falcon, charging up the Sonic Boom. I don't think he's going to commit to that, even though he does have a heal over time with the hell right beside him. A good recognition from Space Station Gold. You're so far behind, you got to make something happen. Go for the Pyro.
The spam laugh made Sam reconsider there pretty heavily. That's just a typical Captain Falcon, a.k.a. Man Ray, a.k.a. Sir White Goodman thing to do.
Well, sometimes you got to go in, and that's exactly what Sam for Soccer does. He's like, how dare you laugh at me, as Grave actually gets pulled immediately after. Yet again, still no way to get out of that. You would think that without the purification beads, you'd be a little bit more careful. Moswell eats a lot of damage from Russian Poppy, but with all that sustained from this level 14 hell, not too worried about that.
Captain Falcon and Russian Poppy actually have some very solid damage, and right now, though, it's all eyes onto Iceman one more time. Moswell and Wowie looking to pursue, but instead, it's just the red buff. There's no defending their own jungle. Space Station Gold just continuously losing everywhere imaginable, and initially, I really believe that if Grave just tried to shift some of the map attention towards that solo lane, it might help direct very nice to me to move over and kind of leave this dual lane alone, give his team a chance to catch up. But now I think they just solely need to try and play around Russian Poppy and Captain Falcon, because even though the Agni is still 2 levels behind Moswell, it doesn't really matter if he's able to put out consistent bomb damage.
You're right, Taco. Someone has to be the sacrificial lamb with how aggressive Moswell and Pain to Beyond Wowie combo in the dual lane was. But it can't be the jungler. Junglers dictate the pace in Season 5 recently. Solar Troll does get ganked, but able to get in the clouds in the nick of time with this much health from Pestilence, this much defenses. He's actually so aggressive that he's going to bait this out. His whole teammates right beside him as Sam for Soccer takes out Gravy yet again.
Moswell doing everything in his power to try and peel for Solo Troll. The heals are good, though. Going to buy him enough time to survive, but Captain Falcon finally takes down Sam.
A good shutdown. He was 9-0 before that death, and that's going to be a huge boost of gold towards your Agni that's sitting at level 13. Viper trying to get a little bit closer. Did have his ultimate, but even if you epic uppercut the Sun Wukong without any follow-up, not going to be a kill there.
Here's the thing, though. Very nice to me are fighting Space Station Gold inside their own jungle, and on top of that, they're still removing the farm that's available for Space Station Gold on their side of the map.
Meanwhile, without the rotations from the dual lane, they're just able to bully out Iceman, get a tier 1 tower for their trouble, continue to rotate underneath where Grave is casually walking by as well, and baiting out for this purple buff invade. Spotting it out as great, but what can he realistically do?
He's level 11, and they're not as underfarmed in comparison to WoW and Pain and Beyond as the rest of Very Nice to Me, but now that Moswell's starting to rotate over,
Oh
Viper could very well be dead.
That damage! Just 2 abilities from the hell, and then all of a sudden Viper with a sliver of health as Wowie cleans up the enemy Guardian. Red buff will be secured by Space Station Gold yet again. These bombs coming in fruitful for the defense. And it was very nice to me abusing the Agni pre-level 5, and now that the bombs are coming out, a little more difficult to secure the buffs.
This is just some rough stuff if you're Captain Falcon or Russian Poppy. You know that you're the only ones that can deal enough damage to try and take out any single member from Very Nice to Me, but trying to overcome Moswell's sustain on top of all this?
Wow, Raximu not on the mark there, even despite having the darkest of nights. Solar Troll gonna disengage, and just like that, this level 11 Grave. Every single time he dies, I look for the defensive relics. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. He went Blink level 1. He's still not level 12 with 8 deaths, and still not thinking defensively with Magai's Cloak. If you go for Blink, aren't you more tempted to go for that defensive item?
I feel as though his thought process right now is, even if I buy the Magai's Cloak, I'm probably going to get 2-shot anyway. I may as well go for the full damage option. I like the Brawler's Beatstick Rush in that case because of the fact that at least he'll apply some anti-heal before he goes down.
True.
And right now it also seems as though he might either be rushing the Jotuns or a Crusher, possibly. But looking for damage, and speaking of damage...
down the mid lane, Sanford Soccer yet again. This time it's on Captain Falcon. Blinking onto Grave again with the special delivery. The Nemesis Shield will top him off for the moment. Blinking into the backline is Solo Troll.
Even when you live, you die. And that's just Solo Troll finally starting to make some of those solo lane rotations.
He's not done against the level 10 Kumbhakarna. Mistimes his Tiger transformation, jukes out the Waxen Moon with his ultimate, giving him that CC immunity. The rest of his teammates, however, not concerned with that tier 2 tower. They're more interested in the kills.
Well played by Viper there, though, to stay alive underneath this Phoenix. Use that bird to his advantage in terms of kiting around Solo Troll with the root. T2 tower, though, can't say the same. Won't end up lasting. Very nice to me. Just add more and more to this experience and gold lead.
At this point, Moswell is just doing damage check numbers. He's like, all right, I'm level 18 health. You're not going to kill me anyway. Let me just throw out 2 abilities, see what they do. It got the Kumbhakarna even less than half health. If that Light Stance first ability hit, I think that Kumbhakarna was just outright dead.
A Viper and Grave cannot survive right now. It's close to impossible for either of them to live while ensuring that their team stays alive at the same time. I think they're going to be our primary sacrificial lambs that we were looking for a little bit earlier on. And Russian Poppy and Captain Falcon, I think they're both just doing everything in their power to try and make sure that their farm stays somewhat close to that of Very Nice to Me.
Now, if you're going to sacrifice the dual lane, if you're Space Station Gold, I thought Iceman in a bad 1v2 uses the Rising Jaguar during Darkest of Nights to give him that extra mobility as Solo Troll casually in a 1v3. Trying to run away. Iceman can't say the same for him. Wow, he actually just jumping around, baiting for the Sonic Boom yet again. Sanford Soccer goes in, but it wasn't until Solar Troll ultimately does take a spell. Moswell just 2-shot a level 13 Nemesis.
Okay.
Going for more, hits the first ability. Not going to dive the Phoenix quite yet, but this health cannot be touched.
There is no one to stop Moswell right now. Captain Falcon drops the Aegis, probably still going to end up falling anyway. Pain to Beyond managing to secure the kill, and Moswell just tossing out the heals. There's not enough anti-heal to stop this hell.
It's not even the heal, anti-heal, whatever you want to call it. Trying to deal with the damage at this level 19 hell is a tall order to fulfill, as there's no more towers except the tier 2 on the right side remaining for Space Station Gold. But Sanford Soccer about to eliminate that one too.
Moswell and Sam's farm this game has just been to the most extreme circumstance because they're both rounding into levels 19, 20 before the 18-minute mark even. It's just incredible how far ahead they managed to become playing off that dual lane entirely.
They were winning the PvE, they were winning the PvP, getting the experience and the best of both worlds. During the buff invades, they would find these kills. Grave got too ambitious, I feel, with the blink that never ultimately led him to do anything offensively with it, allowing Sanford Soccer's Mercury to go off on this 11-1-7 spree, not even 21 minutes into the game.
To be completely fair, I'm not super opposed to the blink on the Nemesis. I think that it was mostly just Grave's pathing that ended up catching the better end of him, because I think you could still get away with the blink as a Nemesis even into the Mercury. There's enough back and forth there between the two that I think it balances out. Where it really seemed to fall apart for Grave, though, is that he was just a little bit too late to the party. And Very Nice to Me had already gotten everything they'd wanted. They'd gotten buffs, they'd gotten picks, and then by the time Grave shows up, he's just one more member to kill in the grouping of 3 from Very Nice to Me.
Well, what would you do if you're Grave in game number 2? What's your mentality as a player with this kind of performance?
Definitely making sure that Sam doesn't get Mercury again is probably priority number 1. And after that, I think he just needs to shift more attention towards that duo lane much earlier than what he actually did this game. It just fell too far apart in that duo lane, and way too much of this game has been dictated solely off of those buff invades.
You're right, Taco. When you're losing mid and the duo lane, it's very difficult as a jungler to do anything. Got to figure out a right game plan and going for it. Maybe even going for a counter invade on the right side. Sam for Soccer unchecked in the solo lane. Phoenix Siege grouping up in the mid lane as Pain to Beyond and Solo Troll go in, trying to make it happen in the back line. First victim going to be Pain to Beyond, but still, middle Phoenix getting stripped very quickly.
Captain Falcon, though, takes one off the table. Moswell still throwing out the heals wherever possible as Wowie trying to focus down this Firebird. Going to end up getting stunned out by Captain Falcon, and Iceman barely managing to escape with his life.
Trying to make something happen in the middle. Phoenix still, yet again, Solo Troll going to tank it, using the Oxform to disengage. Finally, Moswell and Wowie able to eliminate the Firebird, but they're going in. Hell doing a lot of damage. It is going to be a 4-on-5. The numbers favor Space Station Gold, but not the experience.
Captain Falcon and Russian Poppy, this base defense relies pretty much entirely on them.
Oh,
and
look at Sam for Soccer.
they're falling into the trap.
Yeah, they are. He's charging up the Sonic Boom. He's thinking about it. Nah, he's not going to commit. I thought he was going to do like one sick 4-man ultimate and have the other 3 come in.
Here
but there's
it
the
comes.
bait. There they go underneath. Moswell and Wowie doing the damage onto Viper. Sam for Soccer still charging the Sonic Boom in the backline. Going to force the beats out of Iceman. Has to back off because the level 17 Agony right around the corner. Kumakarna does fall. 30 seconds without their Guardian. It's a 5-on-4 now for Very Nice to Me.
It is a very short cooldown timer, but it's not going to be enough. Iceman getting blinked on and wrapped around. Sam for Soccer makes quick work of him. Sam for Soccer gets a double kill onto Russian Poppy, and Captain Falcon's bound to fall next.
That's going to be a quick 3 kills. It's only Grave under his own fountain, and he can't even survive there. A quick D aside as Very Nice to Me take the first game of this set.
This has been a bit of a bruiser for Space Station Gold. They've got 2 black eyes from the whole experience.
Oh, yeah. This is rough stuff. You gotta go into this next game with a blank slate. You gotta forget that last game ever happened and think of a completely new strategy, because Grave couldn't really make any sort of defense happen. They lost in the mid. Hell versus Agni, heavily favoring Hell, especially if you're Moswell. You're so comfortable with this Hell. You're so comfortable about playing aggressive. And then you got an Uller Ardio against a passive Xbalanque Kumbhakarna that was just bullied behind their tier 2 tower to start it off.
There was really just nowhere left for Iceman or Viper to go. I mean, every single time that they would try to make a play happen in terms of looking to defend their buffs, it's just Sam and Moswell every single time coming over from the mid lane that, by the way, they've also been controlling pretty heavily, and Grave just had nowhere left to farm.
Final thoughts before we throw it to the desk here, Taco.
Very Nice to Me, still looking very nice.
Very Nice to Me with a 1-game lead. Let's break it down at the desk.
They're looking very nice indeed, Taco. I am right there with you after that Game 1 victory. Finch and Aggro here on the desk. Tell you a little bit more about what happened, and what happened was that Space Station Gold got nothing going. They got ran over.
Man, when the enemy Hell is 7-0, when the enemy Mercury has like 11 kills, when your jungler has like 11 deaths, it's going to be a tough game, and that's just what happened. I mean, that was just Space Station Gold not being up to par right now with Very Nice to Me. I do think Picks and Bans played a part. I think that point that the casters made right at the end there, where the dual lane is low pressure in comparison to the high pressure dual lane of Very Nice to Me, is certainly very valid. That just gives Sam just such a great gank opportunity in that dual lane to basically get free kills whenever he wants. The mid lane did not work out there for Space Station Gold. The Agni just played a little bit too aggressive at times. Captain Falcon was just a little bit too he was showing his moves a little bit too much, if you will, and got punished for it accordingly.
Sometimes that happens, you know. Sometimes you're trying to show your moves and it doesn't work out. Sometimes you're just trying to emote, and You don't even get any success from that.
Yeah.
But we can go through and talk a little bit more about what went well for them. This Mercury in particular really got such a good start. It was ulting from the back by the tower lines and taking down the entire lane, able to really work well with Moswell in that mid lane to get off to a strong start too. This was such a great play where they bring down the Kumbhakarna, they move back, get the kill first, then come kill him in the passive. I mean, Sam Forsaka was just on fire this game, and there were some curious plays from Space Station Gold as we see here as well.
Yeah, Viper, like, what does he think is going to happen? And then that sets up Grave to fall right after that. It's just the Space Station Gold need to be a little bit more wary of where they're picking pressure, where they can be exploited with lack of pressure, being on your buff camps on time. It's the little things like that. And then it's also just understanding what the enemy team is going to do to you whenever you are done with picks and bans. Mercury goes really fast in a line, like, so don't stand still in front of him.
Or back.
Right, or back. Like, I mean, you have to stand still to back, so we just said the same thing.
Sure, but you can stand still and still be actively like about to do a thing, but back is like, hey, I've accepted my
There's
death.
actually no real difference between backing and just standing there doing nothing, because
I
you
think
can
one
still
signals
react.
that you're accepting your death.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
We feel differently about this.
We sure do. Can we go to picks and bans, Finch?
Picks and bans
Thank
for
you.
game 2. Let's get those up on the screen.
Let us, yes. Very nice to me. Smile now in the first pick position. They have plenty of reason to smile after that last game, and they kind of have anywhere they can go now at this point. I think that Very Nice to Me likely is a better team in second pick because it does give them the opportunity to get the priority selection for Pain. As I said, they always pick his gods very, very early on. Now, it depending on the team and how well versed they are with what Very Nice to Me likes to do, I think that first pick could be their better spot, because then they can pick the priority god and then get Pain's pick in that next 2 slots before the second ban phase. But until then, I'm just a little bit worried that when you're forced to first pick your support, it can put you in awkward spots at times.
It hasn't seemed to be a problem for Very Nice to Me, but we'll see if when they continue to go up against strong talent like Armada, who's right there at their heels, if that certainly can be exploited. But they're going to prioritize the Xbalanque for themselves, going to head that right over to the duo lane after banning away the Achilles and the Cerberus.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now they can get a priority pick in the first slot. Space Station Gold, there's no way they get every god that Pain plays off the board in these next 2 picks, so you know that Pain is getting something that he's very comfortable with on the backside. And it's not like Pain can only play 2 or 3 gods, but he usually only plays 2 or 3 gods at the same time.
Right.
Then he'll move on to play some different stuff. When forced into a bad spot, he can definitely wait until the later stages. If teams try and ban him out, I think you end up giving up too much to Very Nice to Me, so I don't think that's a real concern, but I do think being predictable in picks and bans can be a liability, and I wonder how Very Nice to Me is going to play through that in the coming weeks.
Well, Jingwei and Ganesh come in for Space Station right away. They already have their duo lane, or at least you think their duo lane, ready to go. The Jingwei, very safe. Ganesh can do a lot for you in team fights with the Dharmic Pillars, the silence. It's so frustrating. Ganesh can also get through, as we talked about earlier, some of those player-made walls and deployable, so a bit of a safe god in his own right, though that might not be a problem for him just yet with the Serket and Kumbhakarna coming in for Very Nice.
I wonder if that's Kumba solo, because it is in a minor league. They love to play weird stuff in the solo lane, particularly low clear guardians in the solo lane, and that isn't a god that Pain's played a lot of so far. Now, maybe he's added to the repertoire. This is him showing off that he's got that, and you have to respect it, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is there to bait Space Station Gold into not banning anything else that Pain plays, and then putting in the solo lane and giving Pain one of his picks that they would normally top 2, like the RDO.
And we've seen this Kumbhakarna solo be incredibly strong. Even Viper, to his credit, had some good plays over there in the duo lane last game with that Kumbhakarna, so it's clearly strong wherever you want to put it. But it would be going up against the Amaterasu, at least it would appear that way at this point in the game, with the Ganesh already on the board, who can kind of get some early pressure on it. Amma's not that great early on. In those first,
she isn't.
6 or 7 levels.
Now, Amma can easily interrupt Groggy Strike by silencing Kumbhakarna out of it, but that requires her escape to do so and can be a little bit risky. Kumba starts to swing, man. Once he gets those cooldown boots up, he starts to do quite a bit of damage, so you can't just dash into him all the time, especially with how much CC he can set up for this Serket. The CC potential, this team fight, is going to be very difficult to play around for Very Nice to Me, because you've got plenty of crowd control, and then you can't see on top of that, so good luck.
It's going to be quite the disruptive team fight from Very Nice to Me, as healers are going to be the focus for Space Station Gold, really this whole bans phase. They banned Guan Yu, the Chang'an Hell come here in the second phase, trying to force NICE2 to win some other way, because if I just went up against Moswell's Hell like that, I'd want to ban it too.
Yes, it can feel unstoppable a lot of the time, but they did have the first pick selection coming out of bans, so Maybe they kind of bait Very Nice to Me into a healer selection and could have gone for the Odin. I doubt Very Nice to Me would have banned it in that spot unless they were really dedicated to going healer in this spot. But I digress. They decide to ban away the healers and play it rather safe than sorry. Hunbat's going to be the pick now for Grave, something that he's pretty familiar with. This is a god that he plays quite a bit of. And it's just going to a comfort pick after a rough game like that, I think, is a smart idea.
Well, the tier going to come out from Very Nice to Me. That means that Kumbhakarna almost certainly going to be supported at this point. Tier, very much a solo laner and very disruptive in that solo lane as well. Can heal up, can sustain, can force you away from the wave, can damage you and heal all at the same time. And wow, you ban away Chang'e, Hell, and Guan Yu, and yet still Aphrodite makes it through. It's a rough life trying to ban these healers.
And now Space Station Gold's like, well, we can't really take Odin because we need a mid laner. So instead they go for Anubis, which is interesting, but it does put on early pressure. It does give Space Station Gold a win condition, just getting really, really far ahead early and obliterating the enemy team. It does give himself knock-up immunity to give himself, with that Plague of Locusts, to get himself out of Fearless potentially. It looks weird, and it is risky, but I think it could work for Space Station Gold.
It certainly could. Anubis is the kind of god that when a god wants to all-in you like a Serket, you know, you can drop your 3 at your feet, you know, that third ability. You can try and go into the ultimate with the Death Gaze and burn her quick if you can get it off. So maybe there's some chance to get away from some of this aggression. Is that enough to sell you on Space Station, or are you still leaning to Very Nice to Me?
Oh, no. It's Very Nice to Me.
Right. Okay, so we're still Very Nice to Me here. We'll see how it all ends up working here. In game, we'll let Toli and Taco take it away.
Thank you, Finch and Aggro. Heading into game number 2, it's Toli and Taco. I'm excited to see this Anubis, honestly, but against an Aphrodite, I don't necessarily know. The damage seems to be lackluster.
We can look at the pros and cons. Pros, early pressure, like Aggro was mentioning, so that's going to help out a little bit with the Bots, who I don't think has a very high clear potential in the early game, but I think another pro is that this is just one of Man Ray's staple gods. Anubis, or excuse me, Captain Falcon, he loves playing the Anubis at any time possible.
Now, to be fair, it has the best level 1 clear with the Talon's Trinket. That's 60 extra magical power. You're going to be able to full clear the wave with the Plague of Locusts. This Falcon actually gets bullied by Solar or Troll. Not really a common thing for the Solon to just randomly show up, but it will force him back. Not sure what the intent is after that. Does he go to the speed to assist Hunbats or go back to mid?
Can you imagine if he just blinked in there?
Ooh. Into the tier 1 tower?
Into the tier 1.
You got to be quick with your beads finger. If you're not ready for that one, you might be in trouble.
I don't think he has the time. Even then. Solar or Troll looking to invade Grave's speed buff, it seems. Grave knows that he's there. He's positioned himself waiting patiently for Captain Falcon to come and provide some assistance, but Solar or Troll probably still going to be able to get a proxy going.
Very Nice to Me with 2 proxies going, or at least 1.5. The dual lane out of Very Nice to Me kind of pulled the melee minions. They casually forgot about the archers, left alone. And this is what the Anubis does best. Clears the archers fully. The rest of the melee minions are only left with 1 basic attack left. And this gives you the opportunity to win the race of your own buff.
Speaking of opportunities, Iceman might be in a little bit of trouble here. No one said Viper going to get aggressed on now by Wowie and Pain Devion, and this is starting to feel similar to game 1, Toli.
Very true. Those branching bolas are hurting a lot. Sprint for Shell being used. Needs about 2 more basic attacks to connect. The branching bola proc will not suffice for the great dominant performance thus far from game 1. Wowie and Pain Devion, doesn't matter if Wowie gets to Uller. They're still going to play the aggressive.
Shibalanke just into the Jingwei. Iceman still won't be able to really outclear. Kumbhakarna has a great clearing potential as well as great killing potential level 1 because of that root on the Groggy Strike, and you've always got to be mindful of where exactly Pain Devion is at, because while Iceman is level 1, he won't have any safe escape.
Oh, not safe yet. Again, the level 2 duo pressure against the level 1, but off the mark was Pain Devion with his dash onto Viper, still bullying out the Space Station Gold members under their own tower. Finally hitting level 2, so it could at least fight fire with fire, but in the solo lane, seems that Solar Troll is still playing aggressive. Oh, Very Nice to Me, looking to kind of hug the tower line out of Space Station Gold.
Solar Troll's got to be careful not to overextend. Russian Poppy, even though he's on the Amaterasu, he still has just as much likelihood to get the solo frag if Solo isn't careful.
It's very true. Once you hit 3 basic attacks on the same target, you're going to get that debuff aura where all incoming sources of damage is going to get amplified by 10%. In the solo lane, there's a little bit of action, but even more in the mid lane. forcing the jump from Grave. Speed buff due to respawn in less than 15 seconds, and that's the mindset between these two junglers. It's a battle of the speeds.
And we haven't heard too much from Sam this game. Grave hoping to try and shut him down. Both the speed buffs have worn off on these junglers respectively, and Grave still looking to chase Sam.
Jumping forces out the blink from Sam for Soccer. Surprised that he's not the one going for the beats, but it's because Moswell is playing the Aphrodite.
Grave, though, cutting it so close, I'm not really certain why he's still chasing, especially now that Moswell and Sam, he's just trapped amongst everybody.
He jumps up and down. The blink from Solo or Troll. Grave jumps in alone. Russian Poppy invading the blue buff. A huge disconnect between the two players.
But no one was responding at all to Grave. He's just aggressing by himself. He needs to back off there.
It's true. Meanwhile, the back left camps, it's Captain Falcon doing his own back harpies. Meanwhile, the proxying is occurring from Pain and Wowie, setting up for this purple buff invade in a 2-on-2. Captain Falcon now with his own red buff, making this rotation happen. Needs to find some sort of success.
Wowie going to be able to Rising Jaguar out of danger for now. Sprint also going to create some distance as Pain de Beyond looks to body block any incoming danger. I like the rotation there from Captain Falcon. Wasn't level 5. Had he been, maybe you might have seen a return kill for Space Station Gold.
Definitely could have been the case there. Has plenty of damage with the Bancroft's talent. Could have been there even earlier, potentially, if he opted for the Boots Rush instead, but still needs to find something on the board. With very nice to me having this first blood for Solo or Troll, by the way, as he's getting pressured, baits out the ultimate, uses that power cleave heal, and this is the power of the tier. It's just his sustain is just too much to handle.
Speaking of sustain, that's all that Aphrodite does. Moswell still in the early game premise here, though, so might not necessarily see as much of that Aphrodite healing that you come to expect in the late game, but Captain Falcon,
mistimed it.
I like this aggressiveness.
I like the aggressiveness. I think he was trying to time the minion camp to be able to clear it underneath between the tier 1 and the tier 2. Captain Falcon holding on for dear life, tries to use the ultimate, but it's just not enough damage quite yet.
Perfect execution by Sam for Soccer on that one. Make sure to not drop the auto attack off of the Deathbane from the Cobra's Kiss. Yep. I really like that he used the Last Breath first, just keeping those poison stacks proccing and stacking for his auto attack in hand to just completely chunk Captain Falcon.
And very easy to hit a stationary Anubis during that ultimate, and that's the one downfall of Anubis is that level 5 marker. It does a lot of damage, but it does even more at level 9. Trying to make something happen in his Grave with the Fear No Evil, but his teammates just a little bit too far behind. Sanford could get stunned down, but still had enough mana for the ambush, and Moswell with the link applies more movement speed to both of them to disengage.
By the way, Moswell also doesn't have purification beads. He's just using a sprint as his first relic of choice, and yet Grave can't seem to find him.
I mean, he has the Undying Love. Grave actually goes back into the mid wave, forces to use the beads out of it. It's going to be a 3-on-3 little scuffle down the mid lane, but Grave doesn't really have much to work with in the health or mana department. Meanwhile, in the solo lane, Russian Poppy getting soloed by the tier.
Russian Poppy is not having any fun this time around. Solo or Troll now with the full lead over in solo. Not only that, but he's also going to get the blue buff to boot.
Grave not making that rotation happen. He gets the speed, and without having that Fear No Evil, you don't want to tussle with a full health tier. You're going to get punished anyway. You got to prioritize the farming, and he was really behind in game number 1 on the Nemesis, so this is his mindset going into game 2. It's all about the min-maxing of the farm.
But that's the problem also, I feel, for Space Station Gold. There were clearly some underlying frustration factors starting to break through, or shine through for the team. I mean, we saw a couple of surrender votes being tossed out every now and then, even though we didn't really mention it. You have to imagine that if a team is willing to throw a surrender vote up at 4 minutes in game 1, what is their mental state like here in game 2 when the same trickle-down effect is seeming to take place?
It seems to not have been improved much of anything, because when Grave jumped in 1v3, Russian Poppy was nowhere to be found. They're getting invaded every which way. The defense is not that strong. This time, there is some synergy in the solo lane. Solo Troll going to get silenced out, but this tier just a little too tanky. Even if that monkey bounce did connect, and teleport onto Solar Troll, the Lawbringer, perfectly timed to disengage.
There's just not enough damage between both of their ultimates. Grave, even with the overhand smash, he's probably got 3 points in. Couldn't do much, if anything. Gonna actually miss the connection with that one, but I do believe he manages to steal away the Harpies.
At least gets some experience for his trouble, and Solar Troll doesn't really care about this level 7 Humbats that doesn't have his Fear No Evil. Blink is available for the tier to make a play happen, as is the Circuit that's wrapping around beneath. Sam for Soccer setting up a little trap.
Sam was looking for it. Sam's also waiting for these buffs to respawn for Grave. Probably doesn't have an active timer on that speed buff, but now with Mazwa's help, gonna head on over and invade one more time.
Trying to make something happen in the enemy's jungle is what Sam for Soccer did very well in game number 1, piloting the Mercury. Still having relatively good success in game number 2 on the Circuit, as he took out the life from Captain Falcon in a 1v1 earlier on. But this time with the Shoes of Focus, it'll allow Captain Falcon a little bit more damage for that combination. Especially once you get those levels, you're really looking to max out that ultimate ability as quickly as possible.
But Sam is just breaking further and further away from Grave in terms of experience. Even if the gold, let's completely ignore the gold factor and Sam for Soccer clearly being ahead there. But also just having 2 levels up on Grave in general. And I feel like this might even turn into a 3-level lead soon enough if he continues taking away those back Harpies by the blue buff and the blue buff itself.
Well, this is a different story for Grave because he's playing the Hunbats, which can still do things even if he's behind compared to game number 1 Nemesis, right?
Normally you'd like to think so, but a Fear No Evil is only as good as the team surrounding it. Speaking of which, Grave looking to drop it one more time with the Mazwa. No mana, but Anuba's ultimate just doesn't have the damage.
Doesn't have the damage. The Undying Love, very good to be able to go in. Last breath onto Viper. It bounces back down onto Grave. That goes actually back into the Grave. His second death of the game. Russian Poppy takes more damage than he bargained for. Trying to disengage. The blink from Solar Troll was used to make that play happen. Probably got him under the tower for a little bit of damage.
Wowie, forced out of his purification beads, was looking for the invade by himself. That is how confident Very Nice to Me are feeling that their hunter is willing to go invade a red in the enemy's jungle.
It's all about trust in your teammates. It's clear that Very Nice to Me has it, but it's not clear to me that Space Station Gold do in themselves. We talked about how there was a slight disconnect from Russian Poppy and Grave during that 1v3, but then they tried to fix that in the 2v1 on Solar Troll. But I think that the timing of the gank was just a little bit too late. Similar story to how the Nemesis from Grave was just not present in the solo lane in game number 1.
Well, even in that mid lane fight where Grave ended up dying, it was still just felt like such an awkward situation for Space Station Gold. And speaking of awkward, Solo Troll realizing he's got company over here, and Solo trying to push Grave back with the Fearless, going to take out half his health.
He's going to teleport back in with a monkey bounces. Solar Troll is not concerned because he has the Lawbringer. Not going to use, oh, he will use it at the last second. Grave actually is forced to use the beads, dashing in, not able to find that damage that he needs for lethal, but he's still fighting. The cooldown is very short on the power cleave.
But look at Solar Troll.
Oh, the last breath in the mid lane takes out Captain Falcon for his second death of the game. The beads was used, but not able to return the damage. Still kind of fighting, or playing with fire rather. Grave baiting out Solar Troll.
Oh, this is going to spell the end of it, though.
No, the turnaround. Power cleave for the sustain. Fearless defensively gets the kill. Man, Terry's such a good guy. I'm surprised more people don't play him.
It's the passive. Can't be CC'd for longer than a second. Ends up catching Grave in the end.
Ooh, nice.
Russian Poppy, though, will finally take down Solar Troll, but Grave is just not feeling this one.
Well, yeah, the passive prevents you from being CC'd for longer than a second, but Hunbats Fear No Evil, you're still going to get CC'd as long as you're inside that little circle. As long as you walk out of it, that's when the CC duration does end.
That slight shove to the outer wall
Yes.
just barely ended up working out for Solar Troll so well. I think that Grave was hoping he'd be further inward, and now Russian Poppy, realizing that Sam for Soccer doesn't have that last breath, going to drop the Amaterasu ultimate and look for his escape.
Good interception of the dash, but Viper, or I'm sorry, Pain to Beyond, going to get stunned out there, so he can't really make that chase down happen despite having the epic uppercut. Mosswell feeling so confident in all of his games. He's just left unchecked despite not having the beads early. You would think you would gank this Aphrodite before she gets level 5.
But Grave hits level 5, and he spends all of his time in solo lane for whatever reason, and Russian Poppy and Grave have not been on the same page this match. It's either Russian Poppy farming the wave while Grave is trying to solo check a tier, or Russian Poppy farming out a buff and Grave nowhere nearby.
Trying to make it happen yet again onto Grave. His solo control. He found a kill under the tier 1 tower. He's not done yet. He wants more. Sprint being used, but a good stun from Captain Falcon will delay it, but he's not done yet. The beats goes through, trying to get away with a Lawbringer. Will survive for the moment, but meanwhile, Pain to Beyond just buying his time.
That is a lot of damage from the Anubis, and that is exactly what Space Station Gold need right now. And Captain Falcon is going to not only save the life of his jungler, but I'm pretty sure of his support too.
Is this just Very Nice to Me playing out of their mind, or is this Space Station Gold really dropping the ball?
Is it possible to say both here? Because I feel like the answer is both. I don't want to say that Space Station Gold are even dropping the ball so much as they're just not playing together. Every single one of their engagements, they're not utilizing their kits in a cohesive sequence. They're just dropping their abilities as however they see fit, and because of that, there's no real CC chain to keep anybody in Very Nice to Me locked down long enough for a confirmable kill.
Man, every time we tune into Mosswell, he just seems to be doing more than 50% health of someone's total health pool, and it's going to be this level 9 Ganesh. Not the health that you saw in the last game, but still bringing in the pain with the Aphrodite, despite not going for the penetration boots, still has enough scaling on her abilities to make it happen.
Mosswell is max cooldown reaction right now, though, and speaking of max, Sam for soccer, going for that max range blink, gonna find Captain Falcon on the backside, and Space Station Gold are just being torn apart.
Grave is monkeying around, and he's dead right in the middle of this tier 2 tower. You don't play with the Kumbhakarna. He's not having any of that one.
Why take the chance, though, is the real question. Why stand there and assume that you are safe?
I'm not sure with that one, Taco. That just seems that Grave mentally is checked out at that point in the game. We're seeing a surrender vote similar to how we saw, I believe, 2 surrender votes in game number 1. As the Gold Fury is being attempted from Very Nice to Me, trying to extend their lead. It's up to Iceman to stop this, but he's only a level 13 Jing away, forced to go into the Aegis. Airstrike not able to get off in time, and this 9-1 squad from Very Nice to Me is extending their lead with a 15-minute Gold Fury.
No amount of relics in the world is going to be able to save Iceman, and to be honest, Totally, I kind of forgot he was in this game. Space Station Gold haven't been getting completely cyberbullied on the duo lane, but all across the map is still just so incredibly far behind. Even with Viper and Iceman holding their own, it just doesn't seem to make that much of a difference when the rest of their team is just so on a different page from each other.
So I'm looking at what the strengths and weaknesses are between these two compositions, and with the level 14 Amaterasu, you have the mobility to start making the presence in these team fights, but with 4 levels behind in the mid lane, is it even worth to use that Amaterasu passive to force team fights?
Probably not. I had to think about that one for a hot minute. Right now, Space Station Gold's best chances of finding any kills, if there's going to be any more kills for Space Station Gold, is probably just 5-man grouping and looking to hopefully pick off one member of Very Nice to Me. But the amount of times that they would have to execute a perfect pick and then get out immediately, go back to farming the lanes is it's so much finesse.
It's Very Nice to Me that's finessing on Space Station Gold. Not using 5 members, only need 3 to make that play happen. Blink being consumed from Sanford Soccer. No possible chance for Captain Falcon. Didn't even use the Purification Beads or his ultimate. Dead to rights. Grave actually gets mezzed out during the Fear No Evil. No potential follow-up. Epic uppercut into the Doves, into another dash. Second very quick kill with a 5-on-3 advantage. More pressure from Space Station Gold, trying to go for this tier 1 mid tower.
And I think this is also just Very Nice to Me, kind of displaying that they are #1 in the North American minor league for a reason. These guys have been absolutely killing it, and arguably a few of them already SPL caliber as is.
It's very true. This is your Week 1 rematch where Very Nice to Me took the 2-0 victory over Space Station Gold. It was a little bit of a different roster back then, but still making it happen here in week number 4. Not dropping many games in this summer split thus far. Dropped 1 game to Anxiety Onset, 1 game to Voltic, but still coming up clean in their sets. It seems to me that this Order side team is setting the bar in the North American SMITE Minor League.
And right now, they're looking to take down this Phoenix. Grave already under so much duress from Pain to be Young, going to get blown up instead. That's going to be another death for the Monkey.
Middle Phoenix very low. Captain Falcon using that ultimate against a level 17 tier that just narrowly is juking and weaving any which way he can. Finally taking out the big bad boy tier, but there's 3 dead from Space Station Gold. Middle Phoenix finally dropping, and the rest are very nice to me. Going to use the Afro heals to top themselves off.
The Iceman having to use that airstrike back into base. Very nice to me know that this Jingwei is now susceptible to some ganks. He's got Aegis and the Purification Beads, but losing your mid Phoenix at 17-ish minutes, approaching the 18-minute mark, that is just rough stuff, Tolly, because these fire creeps, they're already having enough issues trying to kill the regular creeps, and now with the fire minions added into the mix.
Especially without a fire giant even for very nice to me. They don't need the sustain of that objective because they got the Aphrodite, and they got that first strike potential with the Blink Afro, with the Blink Kumbhakarna. Everyone from Space Station Gold is playing defense, and the positioning from Pain to Beyond in that last engagement was perfect with the double mez. Grave just instantly dropping to the Deathbane from Sanford Soccer. Very nice to me with a very commanding lead, and playing with this lead is not very commonly seen in the SMITE Minor League. Sometimes when you get a league, people go back to farming, but instead, very nice to me, are trying to seal the deal and close this game out. Very effective.
And I think that's where the real difference is created between Very Nice to Me and some of the other teams in the North American SML. It's just very clear that they completely understand the overall image of a game, and whenever they set down what they want to accomplish, they immediately make sure to tackle it as a whole unit.
Iceman forced to use the beads thus far. Pain to Beyond gonna apply the slow. Captain Falcon can't really see during the darkest of nights. Can't hit that one target, so he's going to hit the other, and with a sitting duck, you're going to get quacked. Quick death. Wowie using the Aegis to buy himself some time. Great peel from his support. Wowie's still alive somehow, dancing on Grave's grave.
We're saying somehow, but we all know it's because of Moswell making his debut back into this team fight. Viper, there's just nowhere left for this Ganesh to run. Solo or Troll going to take that last hit from Sam there, and now it's all about the siege on the duo lane.
Iceman. He doesn't even want to be a part of that team fight anywhere nearby. He's looking for any farm he can on the map. Goes to invade Very Nice to Me's red buff. Meanwhile, Russian Poppy was kind of proxying between some towers, trying to get his own sort of farm. And these are your 2 side laners that are the highest level of the game for Space Station Gold. They need to find a way to come back into this game.
Solo or Troll and the rest of Very Nice to Me are looking to just end this game, actually. Moswell going to heal up Solo so he can still stay alive for another moment. Iceman did manage to take out the T2 from Very Nice to Me, but that doesn't even matter because they're losing their left-hand Phoenix. They've already lost their mid-Phoenix. This is going to be Very Nice to Me looking for the end soon.
All a diversion. The tier gives up his life for the left side. Phoenix, no big deal. The respawn of the tier is significantly faster than that objective. Baiting out the ultimate from Captain Falcon is Sanford Soccer, retreating back to his one true love, Moswell.
But it's the Anubis ult, and it's such a potent ult. Why not wait for some setup?
Trying to make a setup with the Fear No Evil, but Aphrodite ultimate going to prevent that one. This level 13 Hunbats forced to retreat. Ultimate from Viper. Sprint coming out from Very Nice to Me. They're on the retreat, but you know they're going to go back in with some more Afro heals.
Grave going to be jumping in right away. Might just end up spreading that last breath poison to the rest of his team. Wow, he's still looking for more, but these auto attacks are just too much to handle in the face of 3 from Space Station Gold. That's going to spell the end of Wowie's spree, but oh man, Space Station Gold are still just so far behind.
Taco, this is a 4-on-3 with Solo Troll just now reviving. What can Space Station Gold get from this?
Gold Fury? If that, I don't think they can realistically take Fire Giant as long as Moswell, Pain to Beyond, and Solar Troll are alive.
Iceman gonna solo the Phoenix for a little bit longer. Gonna use the knockup perfectly timed, preventing Pain to Beyond from doing anything. Surprised not to see the epic uppercut come a little bit sooner onto the Jingwei, forcing a little bit of a reset. But if you're very nice to me, you're not worried about losing that Phoenix or that Gold Fury because the fact that you got those 2 Phoenixes earlier.
Gold Fury also doesn't really mean that much to Very Nice to Me. Normally, it's pretty ideal at around this time in a game, but because Very Nice to Me already have such a commanding lead, I don't even think it's necessary.
Solar Troll actually blinks in to get this Phoenix, dashes away, as will Pain to Beyond. When's the last time you saw 2 Guardians make a play like that without their Hunter beside them? On the retreat now is Very Nice to Me. Sprint being procced, there goes the Fear No Evil, but the Aphrodite sustain is just too much.
Mazwa gonna eliminate half of Gray's HP. Solar Troll going real deep trying to find him, but it's gonna be Captain Falcon with the laser beam to take him out.
Level 16 Anubis does a lot of damage, but Moswell a little too frisky onto Grave. Grave gets punished ultimately. It's a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, but this is the damage that Captain Falcon is starting to really implement here. He's about 4 items deep. With the Shaman's Ring finished, he needs to get that damage off to get that passive aura completed.
Enough's enough though, Tolly, and Very Nice to Me are done messing around. They've been kind of feeding into Space Station Gold shenanigans just a little bit for the past few minutes, but now the team is right back on track where they need to be. Gonna be taking down the Fire Giant for free. No real surprises there that Space Station Gold wouldn't even bother trying to contest. They have a way higher likelihood of defending underneath their own structures. That one right-hand Phoenix might be their last stand.
How does Space Station Gold, or can they even defend this Phoenix with how much engagement there is from Sanford Soccer's Blink and Pain to Beyond? Are you trying to just spread out, or are you trying to strike first in this engagement?
Graves probably dead the second that he shows up to the fight. He just needs to get off a good Fear No Evil before he does go down.
5-on-4 at the moment. Solar Troll goes to the left side. Phoenix, Russian Poppy gonna dash in, get some damage onto Moswell, but basically meaningless with the Fire Giant sustain and the Doves. You're basically barely even touching his mana pool at that point.
And right now, Very Nice to Me, still aiming to try and siege over on this right-hand side. The left-hand side, though, I like what Space Station Gold did here. They made sure to push out that wave so they won't have to worry about that Phoenix immediately after it respawns, since those creeps are so far down. Those fire minions can eventually work their way back up, but they will probably end up falling from the massive amount of waves pouring over in left for Space Station Gold.
Oh, look at what Solar Troll is going to do. He's going to do this by himself. Actually blinks on in there. Tries to get a little bit closer. Will solo that Phoenix, while the rest of Space Station Gold are a little bit preoccupied on the right. Despite seeing the tier on the left, they're not going to engage on the right with the numbers advantage. Instead, it's Very Nice to Me. It's doing it first. A double mess from Pain to Beyond, forcing the beats and the defensive ultimate, trying to blow everything onto the Kuma card. A perfect retreat from the Order side.
But this is all that Very Nice to Me are waiting for. They just needed Captain Falcon to burn out that Anubis ultimate, and as soon as that's down, that just means go. Very Nice to Me with this next creep wave are undoubtedly going to start pushing in.
It's a pincer maneuver. Solar Troll fans them out. One way Sanford Soccer comes in the other. Perfect double, fearless. Last breath onto Grave. 2 quick dead members out of the Chaos side, and with those fire minions flooding in the left, this Titan less than half health. Very Nice to Me looking to close out this set 2-0 to extend their undefeated record.
Sanford Soccer and Solar Troll gonna both take a lot of damage from that fountain. It does deal like 1,000 true damage for each tick of it that you take, so Solar Troll can't tank that one up, but it doesn't even matter. They don't need the tier to end the game.
22-7, about 25 minutes into the game. Another clean performance, I would say, from Space Station Gold. Seems to be kind of abusing this crippled roster here. It just didn't seem that Space Station Gold were on the same page, especially in game number 2.
I just think that Space Station Gold kind of fell apart mentally in Game 1, or at least that's how it felt. Like halfway through Game 1, they just seemed so demoralized, and every single opportunity that they thought they were creating was really just a turnaround situation for Very Nice to Me to take full advantage of, and the punishments were just so heavy-handed.
But you got to look at the pros from Very Nice to Me. It was Sanford Soccer playing the Mercury Game 1, playing the Circuit in Game number 2, holding on to his own speed buffs, looking for the invade. Was this a combination of outdrafting and outplaying, or was it more of one than the other?
I feel like it was mostly just outplaying. I think that in general, Very Nice to Me were much better coordinated than the likes of Space Station Gold. And when you add into the mix the fact that, like, even I feel personally that Very Nice to Me does have some SPL capable members on their team. I don't feel that way about Space Station Gold. I think they still need a little bit more experience. And I mean, that's what this scene is all about, after all. This is our amateur league for a reason.
Yep, they're trying to get into that pro league contention. Well, we have the desk ready for you guys to break down this set.
Thank you, Totally. Thank you, Taco, for bringing us that set. Very Nice to Me continue to look dominant here in the minor league. Undefeated, and for good reason. Solar Troll got off to an excellent start to this game. There was no answer for Sam for Soccer. I mean, what was your big takeaway from this?
Both of those things, and then you add in an Aphrodite that gets to pocket heal either
right.
one. That makes it very difficult for Space Station to do anything there. Grave really struggled this set. Double-digit deaths in both games. It's difficult to win like that.
And Grave had a really poor start. Bless you there,
I tried
Ryan.
to get to my mute button, but I couldn't get there. I felt it coming, and I couldn't stop it. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, and Grave had a rough start to this one. He very early on dives in the jungle against like 3 people and jumps in place and almost certainly is dead to rights after that. And from then on, Sam for Soccer and Solar Troll actually gets the kill credit, I believe, for that one. But Sam for Soccer's there. They never really give up sort of that early lead that they build up, and Sam just continued to be dominant that whole game.
Well, the problem that I think this composition really provided to Space Station Gold is kind of what I said earlier. It's like the idea is if either Sam or Solar Troll get really fed, then they have an Aphrodite on top of them. How do you deal with that one person who got off to a good start and then has an Aphrodite with them? It's hard to do so. To have both have the option to be so far ahead and just do whatever they want and have that Aphro pocket healing them is nearly unstoppable, because Mazwal was able to really just switch targets as he needed to, use that new Kiss feature, which only goes to 1 second when you hit an ally with it, heal there, back off here, ult there. And Mazwal got off to a big start as well. He had a Rod of Tahuti in that game and just gets to heal and kill people very, very easily from a low HP. This is a composition that if it gets ahead is unstoppable, and that was on display.
And there were some curious choices here. I mean, talk to you a little bit about these picks and bans, because Captain Falcon does go with the Anubis here. And that's another potential chance, right? Maybe you could burn through them in time, but he ended up being so far behind that really there was never a chance for that to work either.
Yeah, on paper, I think it works out. You can use the Plague of Locusts, that kind of stuff, but remember that Aphrodite has a stun that she could use to interrupt that very easily. Anubis is a character that can apply Divine Ruin pretty easily and also shred through with that Spear of the Magus, has the potential to burn down something like a tier, but it just never ended up happening. You have to get an early lead with Anubis. You have to use the fact that you have the best level 1 mage clear in the game. That didn't really happen. He just got poked out a little bit and wasn't able to move around the map and maybe invade a red buff, because you know that the dual lane for Very Nice to Me is going to have too much push. It's just one of those situations where it was a combination of the picks not being very good, the plays from Very Nice to Me being too good, and Space Station Gold, I think, lost a lot of confidence after game 1.
Things ended up getting away from them, but they've kind of gotten away from everyone who's tried to go up against Very Nice to Me. If we can take a look at those standings, you'll see they are up at the top, unquestionably undefeated, 7-0 at this point, but mirrored this time by Insignum. Last split, Insignum dropped a set, I believe, and they weren't undefeated in Europe, though they were clearly dominant. This time, though, both of these teams looking very strong in their respective regions.
But Very Nice to Me isn't the absolute dominance that Anxiety Onset had during the spring. Different roster, of course, not the 1-6 roster you're seeing here, but Anxiety Onset didn't even drop a game within their sets. People have drawn blood from Very Nice to Me, just not been able to win the battle.
Well, these are the matchups that you can expect to see in Week 5 that we'll be broadcasting for you. Very Nice to Me versus Cryptic. Cryptic, sort of a top of the middle of the pack team. You're definitely going to want to check that one out to see Very Nice to Me up against slightly more wins talent. And then Armada going to be going up against Sanguine for the North American games. But you're also going to make sure you don't want to miss that Burrito versus Poppies one on Tuesday. Tons of good SML action going to be coming next week.
Armada versus Sanguine's going to be fun to watch, but I think you're right to point out that Wednesday matchup of Very Nice to Me versus Cryptic. Cryptic is a team that has this weird style where they love this controlled chaos, and Very Nice to Me is so good at playing just good competitive Smite that I wonder if Cryptic will give them a little bit of trouble if they can drag them down and into that sort of weird game that they like to play.
Anything to kind of disrupt this flow from Very Nice to Me, because it's clearly hitting when it's on, so maybe that could be the secret that could end up being a disruption. But for you all at home, there's no secret. If you all want to make your way to HRX, all you got to do is just buy the ticket. It'll be highresexpo.com. Tickets are on sale right now, November 16th through 18th. You'll see your favorite players, coaches, orgs, even us, your personalities. We'll be there and come say, hey, we can all hang out.
It'll be fun. Trust me. Buy them and go. And I'll see you there.
SMITE console World Championship. In addition to the World SWC, you'll see the Paladins console.
Finch,
console
I already sold it. I said, come, it'll be fun, and I'll see you there. Like, why?
That's a good point. Yeah, Ryan will be there, and you want to see Ryan go to that.
I mean, I didn't say that. I just said, I will see you there. You will have fun. Those things are both connected and separate from one another.
Right.
So buy your tickets now.
I felt like you were saying I was burying the lead.
I just think you're laying it on a little thick. You know, you're like, I've already made the point. Like, let's just move on, okay?
Yeah, at this point, that's just probably fair, right? I mean, who wants people there?
I do, and I already told them, Finch. I'm trying to help you out.
That's going to do it here for us with the SML. We still have the SPL getting started at 3 p.m. Eastern, only a couple hours away from now because we had some quick sets today. So make sure that you check back with us then for all the SPL action. And again, thanks for joining for the Minor League.
Peach it.
You never know until it happens. Ain't a thing you see coming a mile away.